You are the strongest warrior and warlord, the leader of your own guild. Yet what you never imagined was that you would be betrayed by your own companions. For filthy money, they sold you out to your greatest enemy. Ambushed and eliminated, you fell. But now you rise with vengeance burning in your heart. You will show no mercy, not to your former friends, nor to any other guilds. You will eliminate them all and become the #1 player. In the game Wolverine Forest, a man stands battered and gravely wounded before a group of enemies. His companions have already been eliminated. At the center, the most important figure explains that even after all this effort, the one they were waiting for still hasn't appeared. After a moment of thought, she orders her executioner to finish him. Helpless, he watches as death slowly approaches. But suddenly, a stranger appears, cutting down the executioner. This man is Hei Jung. Everyone quickly realizes that the one before them is none other than Hirkan. They know they must attack him together, or else they have no chance. Yet with only a glance and a single movement, Hirkan wipes them all out. None can believe how easily he crushed them. They simply cannot defeat him. Hirkan, real name Han Yejun, affiliation Mask Ajo, known by the dreaded title Hero Killer. The survivors apologize, saying it is all their fault, that they never expected to be ambushed here. But Hirkan doesn't understand why they are apologizing. He takes their hands and says it's fine. They only need to save themselves. Tears fall, though in truth it was never their fault. The blame, they think, lies with a certain pathetic loser, someone who always lagged behind, lacking ability, a true idiot. That person, a woman, laughs at their sentimental friendship. Why act so emotional? Trash gathered together will never produce anything of worth. She is Siri, real name Chae Sol-young, from the Thunder Hunters, known as the Thunder Queen. She mocks them, asking who among them now clenches their teeth and charges forward, only to be crushed again and again. Mind your tongue, she warns. You will regret this and weep later. Without hesitation, she activates her slot and undergoes a transformation, summoning a completely new set of equipment. This, she says, is something only the weak can feel. Enraged, she declares Hirkan an arrogant bastard who must be eliminated. But in truth, he cannot be defeated. At that moment, Hirkan is pierced. Shock fills him. Those he had just saved have betrayed him. The system warns that his HP is dropping rapidly, his movements restricted. He doesn't understand. They apologize. Sorry for deceiving you. Everyone has to make a living. Please don't hate us. But their words are followed by laughter. He is too naive, led astray by the illusion of friendship, as if it mattered compared to money. Shiri sneers. Hirkan will erase you from this game. If you are eliminated, each time you log in again, you will be unable to progress. Weren't you the so-called professional player of Warlord? And yet, you're just a useless piece of trash, with nothing in life but this game. Rage fills him. He tells her to shut her mouth and charges, but another wound strikes him. His so-called allies, those he had trusted most, are the ones who hold him down. He cannot understand why. He has given everything for his guild, and yet they only want him dead. They explain coldly, "We are being offered hundreds of millions just to kill you. What did you expect us to do? Did you forget? This was never about family." Powerless, Hirkan watches as they mock him. The system flashes. Danger, death. Then the final message, you have died. Penalty, cannot log in for 48 hours. He awakens in disbelief. Everything, gone. This game, Warlord, had become a global sensation. The Red Dragon Raid broadcast drew millions of viewers. A VR game driven by AI, it generated unimaginable amounts of money. And in this world, it was the only thing Hirkan was good at. In real life, he was always called trash. But in his memories, he recalled the day someone once asked him, "What level are you? You're incredible in this game. Do you want to form a guild with me?" It was the only place he had ever belonged. But now, hatred consumes him. He leaves immediately, running, determined to find them and wipe them out. Why had he suffered through so much pain only for those bastards to enjoy a good life without him? But as always, Hirkan doesn't notice the red light. A garbage truck comes crashing in. Truck-kun has done his job. He lies on the ground, crying and lamenting. If only I had known things would end like this. I never would have cared about anyone from the start. On the pavement, he tries to make a call, but the voice on the other end says, "The number you have dialed is unavailable. Please try again later." Of all things, he had to be hit by a garbage truck. He cannot die now, not before avenging himself. The memory of that traitor who said they were offered money and that woman who ruined everything, they must all pay. He must take brutal revenge, no matter what. Darkness closes in, but suddenly the system speaks. Connecting. User verification beginning. Welcome, user Hirkan. Please complete the tutorial. Survive against the Minotaur, master of the labyrinth. What the hell is going on? Hirkan wonders. This is supposed to be the tutorial of Warlord, but he remembers. This Minotaur boss had been removed 5 years ago for being too difficult. None of it makes sense. Others around him yell at the newcomer to stop spacing out and pay attention. The Minotaur charges. The group shouts that if they all fight together, maybe the 3 of them can win. Yet Hirkan doesn't hesitate. Instead of waiting, he rushes forward alone. The others scream that he'll die, but with swift movements, he cuts down the Minotaur effortlessly. The massive beast collapses, and everyone is left in shock. Did he really defeat that monster in a single strike? They laugh nervously, praising his incredible talent. One of them says, "I don't usually say this, but why don't you join our guild?" For a moment, images overlap in his mind, the face of the friend who once betrayed him. Hirkan clenches his jaw. He remembers the decision he made just moments ago. Without hesitation, he strikes them down in a single slash. "If I ever trust people again in this life, I deserve to live as a dog," he mutters. Thus, the hero killer Hirkan has returned. He removes his VR helmet and opens his eyes. It's not his room, but a BGR store. Then he realizes, 5 years ago, when his life was ruined, he used to play Warlord on the display devices in these shops. Somehow, he has gone back in time. He doesn't waste a second. He has 5 years of future knowledge and experience. If he can use them well, he can achieve something great. He runs straight to the counter, asking for the base model of the BGR system. The clerk stares, confused, but agrees. What should I do first? Hirkan wonders. Should I start leveling up right away? But the clerk interrupts, telling him he doesn't have enough money. His face freezes. Damn this future. If I had money, I'd already own one. Why else would I be playing here? He needs cash, but grinding now would be too slow. Still, he remembers, the strong never fear a challenge. Doubt is a luxury I cannot afford in battle. I must become a true warlord. The image of Ciri, the Thunder Queen, flashes in his mind. Her mocking words, "You've gone back to being trash." His fists tighten. He knows exactly what he must do. He rushes home where the installation of his newly purchased BGR unit is complete. Yet the fastest way to get money is dangerous. He visits a loan shark and requests 10 million won. They agree, but as he signs, the lender stabs a knife between his fingers on the table, leaving him trembling. "If you can't pay it back," the man warns, "your life will become hell." Hirkan doesn't flinch. He will dive into hell itself if that is what it takes to get revenge on those bastards. At last, he connects again. The system confirms. User Hirkan identified. Welcome back to Warlord. It has been a long time. Soon, they will arrive. A voice greets him warmly. Congratulations on starting the tutorial. I am Ariadne, here to guide you on your journey. Hirkan remembers her. Ariadne, the guide who helps new adventurers. She explains that he must choose from the 3 basic classes, each of which can grow into specialized paths later. The first, Warrior, who fights on the front lines with melee weapons. She recommends this for those seeking thrilling action. Hirkan immediately recalls that in his past life, he leveled quickly as a warrior. But he also remembers it becomes harder to play solo later on. The second option, Cleric. The second option presented to Hirkan was Cleric, a class that uses the power of healing to support and restore others. But he scoffed and passed immediately. There was no way he would spend his time taking care of other people's backsides. That left him with only one choice. Hoping for an entertaining adventure, he selected his class. The system responded at once, teleporting to the class tower. He appeared before an old man who greeted him warmly. "Welcome, young seeker of knowledge." This was Golko, the path guide of magic, an NPC of the mage class. "So tell me," Golko said, "what type of magic would you like to learn?" Hirkan's reply was firm. "Dark magic." Golko blinked in surprise, then chuckled nervously. "Ah, you said earth magic, yes? Forgive me, my hearing isn't what it used to be." But Hirkan cut him off. "No, I said dark magic." Golko's expression stiffened. "Where did you even learn of that? Dark magic is powerful, but it drags its user's soul into ruin. I know the risks, Hirkan said coldly. I am fully aware. That's why you must teach me. It has to be dark magic. For a moment, Golko was silent. Then a wide grin spread across his wrinkled face. The calm facade of a gentle old man dropped, and excitement gleamed in his eyes. It has been so long since a brat dared to choose this path. If you are truly ready, then place your hand upon the skill book. But choose wisely. This path is harsh, and most who walk it end in failure and regret. Hirkan didn't hesitate. Don't waste time. I'm not one of those brats who will fail and cry later. Golko laughed, the sound hollow like a skeleton's rattle. Interesting. How very interesting. It has been far too long. Memories flooded Hirkan's mind. In his previous life, there had once been a famous video of a lone necromancer defeating a raid boss entirely on his own. Now, more than anything, Hirkan needed that kind of power. The system chimed. Class acquired. Necromancer. He gained his first skill, Skeleton Fragment. In his hand, a glowing skull appeared before dropping to the ground. A skeletal warrior began to rise, consuming his mana to take shape. Hirkan's lips curled into a grin. In this life, he would become a necromancer. Now, it's time to level up. Where's the training dungeon? He barely finished speaking when the summoned skeleton's skull fell off. Hirkan groaned, confused. Still, the system transported him through a portal into the beginner training dungeon. Inside, he reviewed his skill window. Skeleton Fragment, rank F. Summonable Warrior Skeleton, 1. By infusing magic into the fragment, the user can command a skeletal minion, but the details cut off before more could be revealed. That explained why he hadn't been able to set its combat mode properly. At that moment, training monsters appeared. Coal wolves. They weren't strong, but they were fast, making them perfect for testing his summon. Hirkan threw the fragment, summoning the warrior skeleton. The skeleton detected an enemy and charged forward on command, fighting better than Hirkan had expected. At this rate, I'll hit max level in no time. Hirkan thought with satisfaction. But then, the skeleton was suddenly knocked into the air, bones scattering, its hollow sockets staring at him as if it were about to cry. Hirkan gaped. What the hell? He checked his skill window again. He had failed to activate Mode 1 Defense. Because of that, the skeleton was being torn apart by wolves. Damn it! Use Mode 3 Special Action, Hirkan shouted. But instead of fighting, the skeleton began to dance, wildly, spinning and flailing like a lunatic. Hirkan's jaw dropped. You've got to be kidding me. I'm screwed. The wolves ripped the skeleton apart, leaving Hirkan in disbelief. He remembered the system's cruel rule. Characters less than 3 months old cannot be deleted. He was stuck with this cursed skeleton. He couldn't delete it. He couldn't change classes. The loan payments would start next month. Maybe, he thought bitterly, he should let himself get run over by a car again and see what happens. Nothing ever went right. Just when he thought things might finally improve, his so-called servant had become a complete joke. The skeleton only drove him crazier. How the hell did that necromancer from my past life deal with this kind of thing? But then Hirkan recalled a small line of text he had read long ago. Summoned creatures are equipped with a deep learning system. They will improve by observing combat. When the skeleton had watched him fight the coal wolves, it had been learning. Slowly but surely, it was adapting. Hirkan stared at the awkward creature, and for the first time, he smiled. Hirkan pointed at the skeleton. Pick up that stick. You should feel lucky to have a master like me. Back in the day, they called me a genius. I trained every member of my guild until they became the best. Just remember one thing. In combat, if you don't dodge, you're dead. With that, he rushed forward and knocked the skeleton's head clean off. Get up, again, and again, until you learn. He continued beating the skeleton mercilessly, barking orders. Don't just stand there when you're hit. Think of your next move. Dodge, then counterattack. Always look for an opening. Slowly, the skeleton began to understand. Hirkan wiped his brow, even though he wasn't sure how a skeleton could sweat. Still, the training worked. When wolves appeared again, the skeleton rushed forward and managed to defeat them after applying what it had learned. Hirkan watched with pride, though he didn't let it show. Not bad, but don't get distracted in battle, he scolded. The system notified him. Skill proficiency with Skeleton Fragment has increased. Again and again, the messages popped up. and with them, his player level rose. In no time, Hirkan had reached level 3. Afterward, he traveled with his skeleton to the beginner's village of Castle Figus. In the bustling market, recruiters called out for guild members seeking comrades for raids, such as the upcoming Spider of the Forest dungeon. Hirkan ignored them. What mattered was that his skeleton training had been worth it. With a few more days of grinding, he could clear the training dungeon solo. The real challenge began now. First, he needed to reach level 10. On his way through the village streets, Hirkan accidentally bumped shoulders with someone. The man glared. "Shouldn't you apologize?" he growled. As always, a bootlicker followed behind him, ready to pick a fight. Hirkan narrowed his eyes. Every second counted. He should just eliminate them here and now. The thug grew angry at being ignored, and with a snarl, he lunged at Hirkan. But before the blow landed, a hand stopped him. A tall man, well-dressed and radiating confidence, had stepped in. "Just because you're angry doesn't mean you can go around attacking people," he said. Hirkan froze. He knew this man. In his past life, this was none other than Matador Shev, one of the highest-ranked warriors and the leader of the Red Bulls Guild, among the top 30 in all of Warlord. Known for his love of combat, he was also feared as the Killer Matador. The thug spat, unimpressed. "Stay out of this if you don't know me. I'll hit you first." But the moment Shev released his aura, the thug nearly pissed himself in fear. Even Hirkan felt the weight of it pressing on his chest. Shev calmly tapped his fist into his palm. "If you hit me once, you'd better be ready to take it back," the bootlicker scrambled to explain. "That's the Matador Shev, leader of the Red Bulls, one of the strongest guilds." People around began to realize why the thug had backed down so suddenly. Shev stepped closer to Hirkan. "So, what's your answer? Are you going to let this go?" Hirkan's mind went blank for a second. Then he bolted, running away from the scene. Behind him, Shev chuckled. "Good. At least it ended with words this time. Don't waste your energy on trash like that," he advised. But Hirkan wasn't grateful. He clenched his fists as Shev turned his back and walked away. The man was cold. Too cold. And Hirkan knew the truth. He had been intimidated. That should never happen. Next time they met, he swore, he would be a completely different man. The gap in power between them was undeniable. To exact his revenge, he would need to surpass monsters like Shev and Siri both. Just then, a beast lunged at him from behind, but his skeletal warrior intercepted it, striking the coal tiger down with a single blow. The skeleton looked back, almost eager for approval. Hirkan smirked. Days passed. It took 3 full days to reach level 10, longer than Hirkan had expected. The skeleton seemed to sulk, but the system chimed. "Congratulations, you have reached level 10. Beginner's dungeon complete. Your novice symbol has been removed. Reward transfer complete." Now he unlocked the full interface. Stats, missions, map, inventory, and messenger. Hirkan hadn't felt this excitement in years. He opened his status window. Hirkan, level 10, class Necromancer. Title, Hero Killer. Strength 3, Endurance 3, Intelligence 5, Mana 5. As expected, his stats had reset, ready to grow anew. The system reminded him, "Please allocate your remaining SP wisely." Hirkan stared at the glowing points. For a Necromancer, every choice mattered. Normally, a Necromancer would invest points into mana or intelligence, but Hirkan did the opposite. He dumped all of his points into strength. The system notified him, "Strength has increased by Fumdi. Total strength, Memti Thai." He clenched his fists, feeling raw power coursing through his body. His skeletal warrior trembled, as if frightened by its master's reckless choice. Hirkan smirked. "Don't misunderstand. I haven't given up on being a Necromancer. I'm teaching you." At this stage, boosting mana or intelligence would hardly make a difference in his performance. By raising his strength instead, he could fight directly while passing down all the combat skills he had once mastered in his prime. He was betting his life on his own growth. The skeleton seemed to shed tears of joy, but Hirkan shook his head. "How can a skeleton even cry? Whatever. Focus on training. We'll make up for weak stats in another way." With that, he headed for the Raiders Association, the Castle Figus branch. Inside, adventurers argued heatedly. A new mission had just been posted, and the crowd fought to claim it. Hirkan asked to see the list. Most missions available were difficult and undesirable, tasks that nobody wanted. But he scanned the board with confidence, searching for something specific. Then he found it, his hidden ace. Mission: clear the Bima Mountain cave. Objective: eliminate all low-level monsters around Bima Mountain. Reward: 10 gold. To others, it was a trivial quest. To Hirkan, it was gold. The receptionist asked doubtfully, "Are you sure? This is just a low-level extermination, barely worth 10 gold." But Hirkan accepted without hesitation. On the surface, it looked boring, but he knew a secret. Completing this quest before reaching level 15 would unlock a super rare title: Prospect. Why was that important? Titles increased stats, and Prospect in particular raised all stats by percentage. For Hirkan, this was the true beginning of an overpowered build. Without delay, he set out. His destination: Bima Mountain. Clad in his starting outfit, he marched forward. To be honest, if anyone commented on his appearance, YouTube would probably ban the description. But Hirkan didn't care. "I look damn good," he thought with a grin. But he knew it was stupid trash. He didn't have enough money after buying equipment for the skeleton, so he only got whatever he could just to finish it. He looked ridiculous, but he would have to finish the mission as fast as possible and then get clothes first. He would do it as quickly as he could. At that moment, in the forest, we see a person badly injured, begging for help. Without warning, he is dragged away by a monster while others nearby laugh at his misfortune. Then we move to another player. Finally, he was beginning his adventure in the Bima Mountains. He felt he was pretty good at this game and thought he should become a ranger at this pace. Suddenly, he heard cries. Someone was asking for help. His friend was injured and needed assistance. He approached to see what was going on. They explained that a monster they had never seen before attacked them, and they barely escaped. They had no healing potions, but he had a few. They asked him to wait. He quickly searched for a watch and gave it to them, grateful and promising that he would surely be rewarded with something good. But someone appeared from behind and struck him. He fell to the ground trembling. They made sure to use all his items to the fullest. He had been deceived. They were cowards. "Why are you saying such nasty things?" they mocked. "You're the idiot for falling into such a dumb trap." The player, Multi, died. Around his corpse, the items dropped. One of them laughed. "Didn't I tell you? Messing with newbies is always fun." His reaction when he died was incredible. Then they went searching for their next prey. These people belonged to the Ralph family, Pekka Guild, known villains. We return to our protagonist. His skeleton was facing off against many wolves. Immediately, Hirkan ordered it to activate attack mode. It charged and eliminated them with skill. The system displayed, "Warrior skeleton has slain an ancient tree wolf. Experience plus 375. 2 more wolves fell, tripling the total. Now, with a sword in hand, a pack of wolves was nothing for the skeleton. Yes, getting gear for it first had been the right choice. Hirkan was a true gamer. He cared more about performance than about appearances. The skeleton looked like it was crying. Poor thing. But what was it thinking? If that was done, then they had to keep going. They needed to level up quickly to clear this entire area. At that moment, an arrow struck the skeleton directly in the head. Hirkan looked up in confusion, but the group who shot quickly apologized. They said it looked like a monster from a distance. They were sorry. But Hirkan only smiled and said, "It's fine. Just compensate me with a mana potion." But they didn't have any. So what should they do? Since mana regenerates automatically upon leveling up, they offered to help him do that. Hirkan asked if that would be fine. They replied, yes, it was their fault, so at least they should do that for him. Right then, many monsters appeared. The group planned to weaken them first so that Hirkan could finish them off. But in truth, they were preparing a trap. They would draw aggro, cast an attack buff, and then send monsters in his direction, acting as if it were a mistake. Caught off guard, Hirkan would be overwhelmed and die, but their smiles disappeared instantly. Hirkan had slain the monster himself, far more easily than they expected. Meanwhile, he was arguing with his skeleton. "Why can't you move faster? Keep going!" The group grew nervous. What the hell? Why is his summon so strong? His level must be higher than it looks. They decided to send more monsters at him to see what happened. Then, while he was distracted, they would strike directly from behind. When they attacked, Hirkan dodged it instantly. They couldn't believe it. With one counterattack, he broke their weapon and landed a blow directly on the body. Snapping his fingers, he ordered his skeleton forward, which rushed at the other two further away. "Wait! Stop! Let's resolve this with words!" They begged, but the skeleton cut them down immediately. Together, Hirkan and his skeleton defeated all three. He knew these bastards well, the kind that stabbed people in the back and stole everything after gaining their trust. In the past, the old him might have gone along with it, but not anymore. One of them pleaded, offering all of his items. He begged not to be killed, but Hirkan no longer trusted anyone. With one strike, he finished him. Player Ralph has died. 8 unbound war watches dropped. Hirkan was stunned. 8? That idiot was insane. But now that he had them, he would put them to good use. And the first thing he would buy was clothes. Bạn có muốn tôi nói tiếp luôn sang đoạn Hirkan loot war watches, đội đồ ngẫu nhiên, lập danh tính Mask Ajo và bước vào Bima Cave dungeon không? Meanwhile, the skeleton kept beating the other one even though it was already dead. He told it to stop, but the skeleton's aura was growing larger and larger. He asked his precious skeleton if it wanted something from these watches. He repaired the crack in its skull from the earlier wound, and there it was again. He asked if it liked it. Appearance didn't matter when playing. What mattered was what was inside. He didn't fully understand, but war watches were truly a jackpot. By selling the war watch of another player, a random item would drop into his inventory. Anything could appear, from rare items with options. He got a pair of black goblin pants, rare, giving +5 mana and +5 intelligence. A sword infused with the essence of an ancient tree, rare, giving +10 mana. The demonic curse. There were even skill books and money. Now this was the real jackpot. Thanks to this, he could progress much faster than expected. From now on, he would record the game and he would create a good identity for this purpose. It was important. At that moment, he heard a voice telling him that creating an identity was important. He remembered that everyone in the guild used to wear an Ajoe mask, and it had made them go viral. So now he would call his guild Mask Ajo. He had even thought of using a completely different identity, but when he transformed it, he no longer wanted other people to steal his things. He would use this to prove that he was right. He put the mask on and told the skeleton they had to move out. They entered the dungeon, the cave of Bima Mountain. He thought blue wolves appeared in this dungeon, but it wasn't easy. Now, however, with better gear, it should be possible. He planned to run it in 10 minutes. He told the skeleton they had to move fast, and they both rushed forward. An hour later, he was exhausted. He couldn't understand why there were no monsters. This was insane. There should have been a system message if someone had already cleared this dungeon. Or maybe it was an error. The skeleton started swinging attacks at nothing, and he didn't know what it was doing. But then he realized something strange. He had discovered an instant dungeon. The system asked him if he wanted to enter. That explained why there were no monsters. Instant dungeons were single-use dungeons that appeared randomly inside other dungeons. When they spawned, normal dungeons would be deactivated until the instant dungeon was cleared. They were harder than normal dungeons, but also gave better rewards. The problem was, either you cleared the dungeon or you died inside it. Rationally speaking, he should give up. If he died, he wouldn't be able to log in for 2 days. It would be better to surrender and take other missions instead. But he entered the scenario. He only needed to clear it. The place looked like a coliseum, and it gave him a chill. He wondered what would appear. Suddenly, a rumble shook the ground. A giant beast appeared. It was a corrupted werewolf. Its level was not displayed. He didn't know why such a thing was here. The beast immediately attacked and sent him flying. He was wounded. Seeing its master hurt, the skeleton prepared itself, but Hirkan only laughed. He had managed to block with his sword. Why was he so lucky today? Corrupted monsters were tied to the main quest. He told the skeleton, if we don't kill it, there's no dinner tonight. Then he charged. The skeleton helped, lifting its sword for him to use as a step. Hirkan kicked off it, soaring through the air. He infused his blade with the demonic curse, then struck. With a fast movement, he cut the werewolf's arm clean off. The monster howled in pain. The curse activated, gnawing at its body. Not bad for the first time using it, he thought. The werewolf roared in fury and attacked again. The system displayed all status effects nullified. He realized, of course, it wouldn't be an instant dungeon if it were that easy. He had been saving this for later, but maybe it was time to try it now. Using one of the war watches, he activated the slot. Aura poured out, surrounding his whole body. Black armor formed around him. It was time. Slot on. This was one of Warlord's unique features. When a player used slot on, they were temporarily empowered with strength drawn from the world itself, manifesting an enhanced form. This form varied for each player, so most called it the ultimate mode. The werewolf, furious, lunged at him with rage, but Hirkan dodged its attacks easily, making it look simple. As expected of a dungeon boss, its speed and power were overwhelming. If even 3 or 4 attacks landed, the game would be over. But what the beast didn't know was that Hirkan was faster. With a single decisive strike, he eliminated it. This is what makes the game fun. At that moment, he felt the ground crumbling beneath him. Right, he had forgotten the werewolf was still in its rage state. He was left completely exposed, but then, while he was still in the air, he remembered he wasn't alone. The skeleton struck, slicing off the monster's other arm. Hirkan told his precious skeleton to perform the move they had practiced. The skeleton didn't fully understand, but the two of them dashed past the beast, slashing rapidly until they cut it apart like sushi. They had hunted the werewolf together. Hirkan deactivated slot on. For him, the result wasn't bad at all. The system displayed, Bima Mountain Cave has been cleared of monsters. Reward, 10 gold. Another notification appeared. Warrior Skeleton has defeated a very powerful monster. Skeleton Fragment skill rank increased to E. Experience gained, 20,865. Item obtained, Werewolf Skull. Item obtained, Werewolf Skin. The rewards from the instance were truly luxurious. Among them was the Corrupted Tracker Necklace, a unique chronicle item. All stats plus 18. Bound item. Equipment requirement. Title Corrupted Tracker. Even though it was untradeable, it was still superior to standard unique items. Hirkan thought for a moment. Corrupted Tracker. This could be good. 3 new titles were registered. Promising Novice, plus 3 Intelligence, plus 3 Magic, which was the one he had originally been after. Hero Challenger, 3 Endurance, and Hero's Journey. On top of that, the Corrupted Tracker title appeared as well. But that one was an introductory title for the first chapter of the main quest, the Count's Corruption. The main quest formed the backbone of the Warlord universe. Because the rewards were extraordinary, every player wanted to take part somehow. It was Warlord's flagship content. In his previous life, Hirkan had only reached the 4th chapter. Unlocking it now wasn't just luck. It was a bullseye. He immediately logged out. Breaking news filled the screen. The Hydra Guild was officially entering the final chapter of the Count's corruption scenario. Their goal? To clear it within 3 months. Hirkan's eyes widened. Right under his nose, someone was already at the final chapter of the Count's corruption. If he tried to butt in now, he wouldn't gain anything. It was a waste. He should give up this round and aim for the next chapter. But maybe, just maybe, this was truly his chance. Right now, the whole world was focused on the Count's corruption. It was a massive craze. And what if he uploaded a video related to the Count's corruption right now? The views would go insane. Good thing he had recorded his entire playthrough. He would edit it and upload it directly to YouTube. Editing was key. He couldn't leave it to just anyone. It had to be that one person, the god of editing from his previous life, the video creator Romani. Somewhere else, a woman checked her phone. She saw a video editing request from Hirkan, level 15, who had cleared a dungeon. She scoffed. What kind of video could that be? A level 15 clearing a dungeon? Probably just some rich newbie showing off online. But when she clicked and watched it, she immediately stood up. She had found something. This was Romani, a freelance video editor known as the Mouth of Hell. Elsewhere, an executive had also called her attention to a newly uploaded video related to the Count's corruption. It showed a level 15 defeating a corrupted werewolf solo. The team had reviewed it but dismissed it, saying the werewolf's level was low and not worth attention. But she liked it. She wanted it. She demanded it. This woman was Chai Seol-jong, heir to the Thunder Group, ranked number 1 in the business world. In Warlord, she was known as the Thunder Queen, Sire. Hirkan, meanwhile, had no idea what was happening. He noticed his video had just been uploaded yesterday under the title, Warlord. Perfect solo of the corrupted werewolf. 6,000 views. In his past life, it had taken him months to reach that number. And something else was different too. Romany had actually reached out to him first. She was known as someone impossible to contact, yet now she had spoken to him. "Yes, I saw the views," she told him. "But of course, the credit goes to my dear Hyrkan for providing me with premium original material." They were roses for her dear one, but somehow he wanted to block her. Whatever the case, when would the next video be? That was a good question. He had no idea what to record now. There was no way another corrupted werewolf, a boss-tier monster, would just be lying around. But the wave had arrived. He could take the oars and start rowing. He logged back in. Everyone was watching the video. Hyrkan, Mask a Joe Man. The movements of this guy were something special. This was Matador Chev watching, but something about it felt familiar. A girl asked what felt familiar, and it was Jell from the Red Bull Guild. He was referring to Hyrkan. Maskajo was the trending topic everyone was talking about. He had been watching him very often. It would have been stranger not to feel familiarity, but still, most new players hesitated because of how real the game felt. But this guy, he never hesitated, not even once. And his summoned skeleton was at a level completely different from any other necromancer. Chev wanted to see how he fought, maybe challenge him to a duel, but Jell quickly shut him down. "If you have time to chatter, get ready. We're going live in 5 minutes." Chev smiled. He would always owe her, and if he was truly grateful, he only had to make sure today's stream went perfectly. More than 200,000 people had bought tickets to watch this live stream, just to see him. Matador Chev, leader of the Red Bulls, ranked 9th among all Warlord players. The dungeon gate was forming. The countdown began. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All units were ordered to prepare for battle. Meanwhile, at the Monster Hunters Association in Castle Figus, Hyrkan had no missions at all. He had been expecting this, but still, how could there not be a single decent quest? This stupid beginner's village, maybe he should just put video content on hold. Just then, a voice called to him. "So it was you, the adventurer who cleared Bima Mountain Cave." It was the man from before. His name was Otan. He asked if Hyrkan would mind talking for a moment. Hyrkan was confused. He didn't remember any event like this in the game. Otan explained that he had seen a werewolf with strange eyes. What Hyrkan had encountered was likely a creature exposed to the power of the corruptor. Nobody knew exactly who the corruptor was, but its power twisted monsters, making them more cruel. The damage it caused was undeniable. That was why the Hunters Association had posted a bounty for anyone who... But Hyrkan cut him off, saying cheerfully he would gladly risk his life to hunt that that wicked creature. It was actually a hidden quest, but Otan thought Hyrkan was far from ready to face the corruptor. Still, since Hyrkan insisted, Otan could at least give him an opportunity. He told him about a man named Aimbry in Van's castle, east of Figus. Aimbry might be willing to teach him a thing or two. Otan would write him a letter of recommendation. The system notified him. Quest acquired. Teachings of Aimbry. Find Aimbry and show him Otan's letter. Reward. Skill book. Hyrkan shouted with joy. This was great. Aimbry was one of the 7 disciples of the great mage Boken. Most trait skill books in Warlord came from him. Every mage in the game would kill for a chance to meet him, and here Hyrkan was, being given that opportunity. This had to be because of his promising novice title, combined with unlocking the Count's corruption main quest. If he played this well, he would never run out of content again. But first, there was something he needed to handle. He went into the forest and used his bone fragment to summon his skeleton. He hadn't yet claimed the loot from his last battle. Now was the time. The system asked if he wanted to use the werewolf skull to upgrade his skeleton. He said yes. Warrior skeleton has inherited traits from the werewolf. Durability +2. Then he equipped the corrupted tracker necklace. Immediately, all his stats increased by 18. And his class-specific skills were enhanced. Perfect. His preparations were complete. He used his bone fragment again and summoned 2 more skeletons. Now he had 3. Hyrkan was confused, but from this point on, all battles would be fought with a team of 3 skeletons. He told them to return, but he felt uneasy. As he walked deeper into the forest, he wondered what kind of monsters would appear. Soon, a level 25 bear emerged. Hirkan dodged its attacks, but the beast was too strong. After drawing its attention, he ordered his skeleton forward. The skeleton charged, but with a single swipe, the bear sent it flying. Hirkan thought maybe it would just stay down, but instead it kept going. "You have to attack from a blind spot," he shouted. He sent the second skeleton, but when it attacked, it too was struck and sent flying. Hirkan grew furious. "I literally just said to attack from a blind spot. You saw the first one destroyed for doing the same thing, so why repeat it?" But this wasn't going anywhere. Then the first skeleton made its entrance like a diva. Skeleton. It charged forward, but the monster didn't even flinch before blowing its head clean off. Hirkan couldn't believe it. All three of them were complete idiots. After Hirkan finally killed the bear himself, he realized they didn't even have brains, though maybe that was obvious. When a monster is attacked, it naturally turns toward the attacker. That's why they had to strike from its blind spot. But what did they do? Charge straight at it head on. He got angry just thinking about it. Why was he wasting time explaining to this brainless trash? He had thought things were going well when his skill rank went up, and the necklace's effect let him summon 3 skeletons. But these 3 had no teamwork at all. He remembered what he had learned before. They auto-learn whatever they were taught. A skeleton had picked up some basic sense of combat. But coordination? That was something they had never learned. Now, it was costing him triple the mana and giving him worse results. Still, he had managed to reach level 20. For now, he decided he would just upload some non-combat content. But the skeletons would have to get up. Training would be hell until they reached Van's castle. Hirkan sighed. He had thought that now, as a necromancer, his summons would handle all the fighting while he could relax. But reality was different. He was still stuck on the front lines, fighting head-to-head. His fate felt like complete garbage. We moved to the Monster Hunters Association, Van's castle branch. Many people were gathered, all looking for others to group with. They were like a pack of hyenas, ready to exploit someone else's hard work. When Hirkan arrived, one person approached him, asking if he had any good missions that required a group. He brushed him off. Better not let anyone know he had the Aimbry mission. At the counter, he presented his recommendation letter from Sir Otan. It was confirmed, and he was allowed to proceed upstairs. The people around him were shocked, many trying to follow, claiming they were with him just to get past. Hirkan wondered what Aimbry would give him. This was a hidden quest. It had to be tied to incredible rewards. He had to squeeze every bit out of this connection. When he entered, however, he found a complete mess. Someone inside grumbled, asking who was there, saying he didn't remember having any appointments today. This was Aimbry, the NPC. Hirkan didn't remember him being like this. He introduced himself as Hirkan, sent by Sir Otan. He was still just a dark mage trainee, but apparently skilled enough. Sir Otan had been kind and generous to recognize him, but honestly, Hirkan didn't care, as long as he got the reward. Aimbry said, "Fine, your reward is over there." Hirkan obtained 2 skill books, Bone Armor and Helm of Madness. Both looked insanely rare. He thanked Aimbry. But that was it. The business was concluded. Quest complete. Teachings of Aimbry. Aimbry wished him a good journey, but Hirkan was frustrated. Why had it ended already? There should have been a follow-up quest. He hadn't gone through all that hell just for a couple of skills. He begged Aimbry to wait, telling him he would do anything, just give him another chance. At that moment, Aimbry grabbed his hand. "Anything you say? Then I'd very much like a nest egg. Find the nest egg." The system displayed the quest details. Reward, none. Hirkan stared. "I've just been scammed. I can't believe this." Outside, a knight arrived. The crowd parted as he walked through, clad in an incredibly expensive suit of armor. Everyone stared. It was super high-end equipment. He kept walking. This must have been the place he was looking for. Meanwhile, Hirkan left Aimbry's quarters, muttering, "Even NPCs could scam players in this game." He had expected a follow-up tied to the main storyline, not some random egg quest with no reward. Did he really have to do this? Just then, someone asked him what mission he had. Instantly, all the others wanted to catch him. He had forgotten about those vultures. Now what? He could kill them, but that wouldn't be good here. At that moment, the armored knight from before ordered everyone to move aside. He approached Hirkan and asked politely if they could speak somewhere quiet. Hirkan frowned. Who the hell was this guy? He told him to get lost. Why should he talk to him? But the man insisted. Please. I am Sir Aojmas. Hirkan's eyes widened in surprise. They went into an alley. The man apologized for the inconvenience, saying he knew this might be a difficult conversation. It wasn't appropriate to talk in a place crowded with people, and Hirkan still didn't know who this man was. Judging by his equipment, he had to be at least a ranker, but Hirkan didn't recognize him. Are you Aojmas? Hirkan asked cautiously. In moments like this, it was better to play dumb. But if this guy kept repeating the name, who was he really? The man apologized, admitting he had followed Hirkan there, and began asking about someone named Max. Hirkan frowned. He had just come out of a meeting with the NPC Ambry, and he hadn't received any quest about a Max. Why should he share his information with some stranger? He already hated the fact this guy had tracked him here. If it was a fight he wanted, Hirkan was ready for PK, even if it cost him. Otherwise, he could just deny everything and walk away. But the man apologized again for the misunderstanding and offered his hand. You're pretty lucky, he said. There's no problem. I'll let this pass just once. Losers who pick fights without reason aren't worth my time. As he turned to leave, another figure appeared nearby. Hirkan wasn't sure if it was connected, but one thing was clear. These people weren't an immediate threat. Still, if they had played Warlord long enough, they would know better than to extend their left hand while their war watch was on it. Hirkan watched as the man wiped his palm. They were testing him. In any case, one of them said, Ambry needs to be kept under watch. The Count's corruption mission is basically finished. Even if someone discovers something now, what could they do? Unless that nest egg really is tied to the main quest. But it's best to avoid complications. We'll return to our post. We'll meet again. Hirkan had been watching carefully. Judging by how they moved, they weren't some regular guild. If they had been, they would have shown up with an offer of alliance first. Testing him like that with their left hand? These people were dangerous. He wondered who they really were. Back in the forest, Hirkan continued training his skeletons. At least one thing was certain. The nest egg mission had to be hiding something important. Those people must have seen his video just like they knew he would receive a quest from Ambry. Judging by how they let him go without a fight, they weren't interested in who he was, but in what he was chasing. If he continued down this mission, he was destined to cross paths with them again. He would probably need to stop uploading videos if he didn't want to be tracked. Why was his life always so damn troublesome? And just dealing with that woman, Chae Sol-young, was already giving him a headache. We shift to her side. A servant girl handed her water. Good work, Miss Sol-young. This was Parsuji, Chae Sol-young's secretary. She asked her what she thought of the new guild recruitment test. It was complete trash, Sol-young replied coldly. Not a single one of them had any value. What about Aojmas? The secretary asked. Any news of him? If you mean that guy who uploaded the video, he hasn't replied to our offer. We assume he joined another guild. Sol-young slammed the cup down, furious. Another guild. The secretary flinched, promising to investigate again and deliver a proper report. When asked what the president had said, she admitted, nothing. He had chosen to remain silent. Sol-young scoffed. Now he's doing well in Warlord. How amusing. When he first started playing, he clung to me, begging for marriage. And now... She turned sharply. Have the recruit list ready on my desk by tomorrow morning. Yes, ma'am. The secretary stammered. She couldn't believe how little time she had been given. The Thunder Queen truly had the worst temper in the world. Back to our protagonist. It had been some time since he arrived at this place, the Lizard Swamp. Since Ambry was staying in Van's castle, the mission area had to be nearby. With a title like Nest Egg, the monster was bound to be some kind of bird, reptile, or insect. Given his level, the only match was here, the Lizard Swamp. He decided to start there. Let's go, Skeleton. This hunting ground was high level, so he needed to buff his summon first with the new skill he had just learned. Helm of Madness, rank F. Draw an inscription on the target's head, endure the resistance, and the spell would activate. He got it. Put on the helm. He drew the symbol. Energy surged out, incredible and fierce. Horns began forming on the skeleton's head. Good. Now for a test run. To activate, He had to chant. But there was a random chance his summon could lose control. Sure enough, the skeleton turned suspiciously, glaring at its master. It let out a low growl, then lunged at Hirkan. In an instant, Hirkan knocked its head clean off. "You dare growl at your own master?" he snapped. Is this skill bugged or what? But nothing else seemed to change. Maybe he had been scammed with those skills too. And then beneath the water, something moved in the water. It was a lizard man, level 30, lunging at him from behind. But his little test subjects had appeared at the perfect time. Hirkan quickly equipped them with the Helm of Madness, boosting their stats, then layered them with bone armor. Their eyes glowed red as he commanded them forward. The skeleton warriors charged straight at the lizardmen. The enemies were strong, their levels nearly equal, but the skeleton's mobility gave them the edge. Striking from behind, they cut the lizardmen down. The system notified him. Skeleton warriors have defeated 3 lizardmen. Level up 2. Hirkan grinned with satisfaction. This is incredible. For the next week, they would grind with everything they had while searching for the nest egg. If this wasn't the right area for the mission, he needed to move quickly. But while he worked, someone was watching. She was Ilya, and as anyone could see, she was an absolute goddess. She knew it too. It sounded arrogant, but the truth was undeniable. No matter what she did, people adored her. Life was easy when you were that beautiful. One small act of damsel in distress and her loyal simps would come running. At that moment, she slipped into a puddle, mud splashing all over her. "Ah, I hate this stupid swamp," she cursed. She had followed some loser who promised to carry her through the map, but of course, he died immediately. Now she was stuck in this high-level zone, where the monsters were far too strong and walking was nearly impossible. "Where's a good simp when you need one?" she muttered. And then she saw him, our protagonist. There he was, her new simp. Immediately she began to scream, stumbling backward, calling out for help. She claimed she had hurt her leg while running from the monsters. So what did he think of that? Seeing a delicate beauty in tears, didn't it break his heart? But Hirkan simply turned away. She thought he was going to help, but instead he walked off. She couldn't believe it. A literal goddess stood before him, injured, and he was just leaving. "How dare he ignore me?" Ilya fumed. Her pride was wounded, but Hirkan stayed focused on his skeleton's training. She kept whining, crying out that she was suffering, playing the role of the perfect victim. He ignored her at first. He didn't want to waste his time, but now she wouldn't leave him alone. "For God's sake, just play the damn game," he muttered. Unwanted memories from his past flickered through his mind. Better to get rid of her quickly. "So you need help?" he finally asked. She explained she had dropped her sword in the swamp while fighting monsters. Would he kindly retrieve it for her? Hirkan agreed. He'd help, but once he did, she had to leave. Of course, she promised never to forget his kindness. But now she thought she had him in her hands. Without his summons, this necromancer would be helpless. Ignoring him would be her last mistake. Smirking, she drew a dagger, planning to stab him in the back. "You're too slow," Hirkan said flatly. He grabbed her and tossed her straight into the swamp. "Little trash," he spat. "You think you can get away with this? If you had your personal guards, maybe you could have tried." Then he gestured behind her. Lizardmen emerged, swarming over Ilya. They tore into her as she screamed. "If you're going to stab someone in the back, at least put in some effort," Hirkan muttered. He had seen through her cheap tricks from the beginning. He'd suffered enough betrayal in his life. This was just a waste of time. He told his skeletons to move out, but to his annoyance, they kept practicing seduction skills, acting oddly. Irritated, he smacked them around. "Stop learning this stupid crap, or I'll erase you myself." Player Ilya has died. This time, however, the kill credit went to him. He hadn't expected that, since he hadn't actually finished her off. Her last words echoed in his mind. If someone like her truly had guards, they'd devour him with their own hands. And right then, 3 random followers were watching. Not long after, they confronted him. Since Hirkan had killed someone, they declared it was their duty to avenge the death of Queen Ilya. "Why go this far?" one asked. "You gain nothing. Do you think she'd ever be with you just because you avenged her?" But their friend laughed. "That's love!" Hirkan cut him down instantly. "What a load of garbage," he scoffed. That crazy woman had thought she could trick him with a fake act of damsel in distress, so he dealt with her quickly. But then, he remembered what she had said. At first, he thought it was nonsense, but it turned out to be true. She had told her guards she'd been harmed. All she had done was ask for help, but twisted the story into, the necromancer tried to abuse me. And now, thanks to her, Hirkan had to deal with idiots chasing him every single day. It was a constant headache, especially when he was already stressed searching for clues about his mission. He thought bitterly, maybe he should just hunt her down and erase her completely. But what if she got caught up in something worse, or ruined more of his progress? The system notified him. You obtained 5,011 coins. Item acquired, goblin leather shoes. Item acquired, promise necklace. Rare. That caught his attention. The promise necklace was ultra rare, worth $550 in real money. Forget what I said. Love is amazing, he smirked. Maybe I should try love too. Maybe then I'll finally get to eat a steak. But then someone else arrived, shouting that he was the killer, and that they would eliminate him. That's me, Hirkan muttered as they accused him of harming Queen Ilya. Come at me then, he said. But before he could finish, more and more players appeared. Too many. The only choice was to run with his skeleton. They chased after him relentlessly. How many were there? Was every single one of these idiots obsessed with that girl? This is ridiculous, he growled. He sent his skeletons to fight them off. As expected, they called him stupid for hiding behind his summons. They would take care of the skeletons and then finish him. One of them activated a skill, the power of love. Hirkan almost laughed at the absurdity. Then his skeleton warrior took a critical hit and was destroyed. These players were higher level than him, and there were too many. There was no way Hirkan could face them directly, but he swore once he leveled up, every single one of them would be dead meat. After running for a long while, he finally managed to escape. The level gap made it hard to shake them off, but he just had to keep moving. Then he noticed something strange. The area felt different. He had been wandering around the Lizardman swamp for days, but he had never seen a swamp this black before. So this was it. Meanwhile, the pursuers continued tracking him. Where did that stupid necromancer go? They grumbled. At that moment, they spotted one of his skeletons, dancing in the swamp. What the hell is this? They shouted. As if hurting her wasn't enough, now he's mocking us? Outraged, they charged in. But suddenly, a beast rose out of the lake, jaws wide. What is that? One screamed, just before the creature snatched him up. It was a dragon lizard, level 40, a boss monster of the Lizardman swamp. The others froze in disbelief. They couldn't let their comrade be eaten, but they were forced to retreat. From his hiding spot, Hirkan's eyes widened. The nest egg, it didn't mean a bird's nest. It was the nest of the dragon lizard itself. An absolute monster with insane defense, HP, and attack power. Normally, it required a raid party of 20 level 40 players just to have a chance at killing it. Last time he had checked, a dragon lizard raid had ended recently, so the boss shouldn't even have been here. But if a player with a related quest entered the area, the monster would always respawn. In other words, the dragon's presence confirmed it. This was Ambry's mission area. But that meant Ambry had really sent a level 20 nobody like him to steal an egg from a dragon lizard. That NPC was a lying scammer. Still, now he had allies. They all knew they couldn't face the dragon lizard at their level. Everyone agreed to retreat, but Hirkan shook his head. No, there's no escape. We'll carve our way through. He activated his skeletons. The dragon lizard roared and knocked them flying with a single strike. With the boss at their backs, Hirkan ran. The others saw him fleeing and yelled, "We won't forget your sacrifice!" He kept sprinting. This was his chance to loot the nest. Inside, he found nothing. No egg. He was stunned. There should have been one. Then, tucked in the corner, he spotted something shaped like a rock. It didn't look like much, but it was the closest thing to an egg in the nest. Just then, a notification flashed. Warrior skeleton has taken critical damage. Destroyed. The dragon lizard was returning. It had sensed the intruder. Hirkan's time was up. He grabbed the strange object. It would have to do. With that, he escaped. Everyone else had been wiped out. Hirkan was the only survivor. What a damn game, he muttered. Maybe it's because of all this freedom, but it's full of lunatics. One survivor coughed weakly, still alive. Hirkin leaned close and made it clear. I've been holding back on you idiots, but I actually enjoy this game. Next time, there won't be mercy. Not for you. Not for that girl. He walked off, trampling over the fallen. If they came after him again, it would be war. For now, it was time to cash in. Hirkin contacted the Vans Guild, reporting that a dragon lizard had respawned in the swamp. He sold the exact coordinates for 100,000 coins. They couldn't believe it. Then he returned to Ambry. Exhausted, he presented the object. Here's the egg you wanted. Please let this be it. I don't have the energy to explore another map. Ambry inspected it and nodded. Yes, this is what I was looking for. Well done. You brought it back faster than I expected. Honestly, I thought it would take much longer at your level. Hirkan stared. So Ambry had known all along and still sent him. What kind of NPC was this? But Ambry continued. Do you know what this is? Whenever we investigate areas with unusually violent mutated monsters, we always find this nearby. I've been calling it the Stone of Corruption. Hirkan froze. So that was why those suspicious players had been chasing him. If this really was the Stone of Corruption, then it was a key item tied to the main quest. No wonder they didn't want it falling into the wrong hands. Something like this could change the course of the entire story. He had thought this quest was just a scam, but it had been the main quest all along. Ambry sighed. I knew from the beginning this task was far too much for you. Forgive me. But his enemy was powerful and completely unknown. Ambry apologized, saying that if his decision to test Hirkan had been too harsh, it was his responsibility. Then he asked, was Hirkan ready to face the world of corruption? Hirkan thought about it. Entering the main quest meant access to a golden fountain of rewards. He declared that he would dedicate his entire body and soul, just give the order. But maybe not right now. He had seen it himself. Those monsters were brutal. No offense, Ambry said, but I can't simply hand something like this to a complete novice. The quest is locked until you level up. Hirkin clenched his fists. He couldn't believe it. But Ambry added, if you beg, if you say, please accept me, oh great Archmage Ambry, then maybe I can help you train. Hirkan was stunned. What kind of NPC was this? As he left, the system flashed. Quest complete. Nest egg. Title acquired. Disciple of Ambry. New quest begun. Ambry's teachings. Hirkan muttered to himself. He had known this guy was strange, but this? Ambry was a complete scammer. Meanwhile, back in the swamp, the dragon lizard raid had finally ended. The survivors regrouped. Their guild had finally taken down a major boss. No joke. This was huge. They needed to announce a short break and then regroup. Lie, their leader, thanked everyone. The dragon had been even tougher than the rumors suggested. Without their paid support staff, they would have lost at least 5 people. Clearing it with 0 deaths was thanks to them. He admitted, when he first heard about these mercenary helpers and raids, he hadn't been sure. But now he was glad they had hired them. He even offered a little extra as thanks. One of them frowned. Wasn't our payment already agreed upon? That's just a tip, Leah replied. Your actual pay is separate, but please, stick to the rules. The helper was surprised. Most people worked only for money, but this man seemed different. Still, he wasn't sure what to make of it. Why had a ranker even appeared here? Who the hell was he, really? For now, he went to claim his promised reward, all the loot from the dragon lizard's nest. But when he got there was nothing but trash. He had been unlucky. Or maybe not. He hadn't expected to ever lay his hands on a stone of corruption. When he heard the dragon had respawned, he thought young Max had already finished the mission. It made him nervous. But since the boss had still been alive, it made sense. No matter how good your mechanics were, defeating a raid boss wasn't easy. If he had taken the stone first, he could have stopped Max from completing the mission altogether. But when he arrived, there had been nothing. He roared in frustration. Back to Hirkin. He knew the moment had come. All those miserable, painful days when he told himself just to endure, that things would get better. They were finally over. He was going to order steak. He had saved every penny on food, just in case something went wrong. But now, with the main quest in hand, he could finally breathe. This month's income had been unexpectedly high. He deserved to treat himself. He checked his balance, about $940. Yes, that was what he was talking about. He'd buy sweets, meat, everything he had denied himself. But then came the bills. Loan payments, utilities, rent, and Warlord subscription. By the time he finished, he didn't even have enough left for a pickle. He had worked himself to exhaustion, and this was all he had. At that moment, Romany messaged him. "Still alive? Did your Wi-Fi die or something?" He realized he had never explained. Suspicious players had been chasing him, so he hadn't uploaded anything. But now, he was broke. Literally starving. Why should he care what those idiots were planning? What had he done wrong in the first place? He was just an innocent gamer. To hell with them. To hell with everything, he muttered. He would live his own life. When he logged back in, he went straight to the Forest of the Dead. It was as eerie as ever, but it was the best place to farm XP at his level. And thanks to the chilling atmosphere, it should boost his video views too. Time to grind. But first, there was a new addition to his group, a bit of magic to spice things up. From now on, they would be even stronger. It was the Skeleton Mage. That scammer, Ainbree, had given him the spell to summon it, acting like he was being generous. The higher its mastery, the stronger its spellcasting became, a divine-grade skill, but it drained mana like crazy. Still, tonight, they would hunt. Bones began to rise from the ground, skeletons, level Babidai. Hirkan's skeletons recoiled in fear, confused. "What are you waiting for?" Hirkan barked. "Go after them!" They hesitated, trembling. But once the battle began, they realized these undead monsters were different from the prey they had faced before. Fear still lingered in their movements. "What's wrong with you?" Hirkan snapped. "You've got a million things to do. Stop messing around and move." At his command, they charged. One skeleton struck, but the enemy retaliated, smashing it apart. Yet the hostile skeleton still stood. Hirkan frowned. Normal attacks weren't enough to cut it. That meant it was time to use this. His rare mage's hammer. With a savage grin, Hirkan swung down, shattering the enemy into pieces. The blow landed, sending the skeleton's head flying. "That's how you do it?" Hirkan barked. "Take off their heads, then go for the kill." But what was wrong with his summons today? No matter. The goal was simple: defeat 100 skeletons in 100 minutes. If they failed, he'd leave them here with the horde. Terrified, the skeletons wailed and charged. Heads began flying as one after another fell. "You have defeated a skeleton. Experience gained." The message repeated again and again. Hirkan had thought using new weapons might slow them down, but the squad was adjusting quickly. The footage would make great content. Better contact Romany soon. But then, something felt strange. A level 35 skeleton warrior appeared. Not just any spawn, an elite unit. Rare, valuable. In other words, his stake money had just walked in. He lunged to attack, already daydreaming. Steak or grilled meat? Both sounded perfect, but the elite skeleton's swing nearly ended him. The death window had almost popped up. "Too close," Hirkan muttered. He had aimed for its hands just in time. The next step: dodge its strikes and let his skeletons cripple its knees. Together, they brought it down. That was too easy, they seemed to say. But Hirkan knew better. Another strike came from behind. He had forgotten one remained. The skeleton mage he had summoned hurled a fireball, blasting the enemy to ash. "You have defeated a skeleton warrior. Experience gained." Perfect. This would blow past 10,000 views on YouTube. The smell of burning bones even made him hungrier. "Definitely grilled meat tonight," he grinned. Then the system warning appeared. "Field boss has sensed the death of its subordinate. Intruder detected. Field boss awakening." A portal ripped open. A cloaked figure stepped forth. The Golden Skeleton, level 40. The field boss of the Forest of the Dead, the first ever magic-type raid monster. So powerful, players called it the Novice Killer. Hirkan cursed. The trigger condition, of course. Killing enough skeletons summoned the boss, and he had completely forgotten. This would be brutal. But if he could win, the rewards would be huge. He already knew the strategy. Buff his skeleton warrior to the max, and it might be possible. "Prepare for battle," he ordered, but his summons were gone. They had faded from lack of mana. No, no, no. He had pushed too hard, summoning 4 skeletons at once and spamming the mage's spells like crazy. Of course his mana pool was bone dry. Now it was just him. Time to stretch his muscles. He activated his rare Warwatch slot. Black aura surged around him. Time to fight. The golden skeleton's presence was overwhelming. It unleashed a barrage of lightning, each strike meant to kill in one hit. No wonder they called it the novice killer. If he let the spellcasting continue, he was finished. He dove in, breaking through its defenses, smashing its right hand. Magic circles shattered in the air. Its spellcasting was bound to that hand, cripple it, and its power would weaken. Then its hollow eyes met his. The boss was staring into his very soul. Hirkan froze. It had read his intentions. It measured his strength. Then, like some twisted Naruto parody, it struck a hand sign and launched a flash attack. Hirkan ran for his life. The spell chased him, exploding just behind. He survived. Barely. What the hell? Hirkan gasped. He didn't remember this. Had the golden skeleton always hidden a secret attack pattern? Or had the devs patched it, like with the Minotaur? Either way, he couldn't recall. And that was bad. His army was gone. He had no plan. How was he supposed to defeat this thing? Another blast came. He had no choice but to dodge, rolling out of the way, countering with long-range shots, but there was no opening for a proper strike. Somehow, he had to find one. Then, from behind, a massive skeletal hand grabbed him. The boss was pulling him in, ready to devour him. "This is insane," Hirkan growled. "How many attack patterns does this thing have?" But he had one card left, his ace. He unleashed the demonic curse. The curse took effect. The boss's stats dropped by 30%. Hirkan broke free and lunged straight at it. He had been racking his brain for an opening, and now the golden skeleton had handed him one on a silver platter. "Thanks for that," Hirkan sneered, slamming it into the ground. Its teeth shattered as he crushed the boss beneath him. System alert, you have defeated the golden skeleton. Experience points skyrocketed. Hirkan's gold count jumped by 97,000. He gained the title Skeleton Slayer and his level shot up. "That was way too close," he muttered as the Warwatch slot deactivated, showing his current status. Hirkan, level 36, class Necromancer. Titles 9, Strength 109, Endurance 35, Intelligence 101, Magic 141. Straight to level 36 in one fight. Not bad at all, but if things continued like this, it would get risky. Magic at 141 wasn't terrible, especially since he hadn't invested much in it, but it still wasn't enough. Up until now, his growth had been boosted heavily by bonuses, titles, and fast leveling. But now, he had too many spells to manage. He'd been stacking strength to empower his skeleton warriors, but what was the point if they just disappeared every time his mana ran dry? He already had all the magic-boosting titles he could get. He couldn't afford to buy mana-enhancing gear slowly piece by piece either. Fine, he would send the raw footage to Romany, grind up to level 40, and think about strategy later. Tonight's dinner? Steak. He forwarded the video. The boss was down, and Romany's jaw dropped when she saw it. "You're kidding." He actually soloed another high-level monster without taking a single hit. The way he had controlled his summons, commanding them mid-air like some over-the-top action film, it was pure talent. The raw material was already so perfect, it hardly needed editing. She would just send him the final cut immediately. But what title should she give it? The Man Who Commands the Dead? No, that sounded too clunky. The Emperor of Solo Play. Yes, that had a nice ring to it. Meanwhile, back at the Monster Hunters Association Vans branch, Hirkan returned stronger than ever, just as Ambry had asked. Finally, he had made it back. Though, looking at him, it seemed like he had crawled out of a garbage dump. Whose fault was that? He didn't care. Just get him his reward. And there it was, the promised prize. Quest complete, Ambry's Teachings 2. Reward obtained, Skillbook Lootology, an exclusive necromancer skill that couldn't be bought with money. Just exactly what he needed, boosted mana efficiency. Hirkan thanked his master, but Ambry wasn't done. "There's one more thing," the NPC said. Using the Stone of Corruption Hirkan had brought, he had crafted a new item, the Corrupted Tracker's Ring. It allowed him to harness the corrupted power against itself. Class-related stats, +2. All stats, +9. When equipped alongside the Corrupted Tracker's necklace, every stat rose by +21. The Corrupted Tracker's Ring, a broken item, normally reserved only for players in the earliest stages of the main questline. "Thank you," Hirkan said, reaching out eagerly. But Ambry pulled it back. On second thought, perhaps I shouldn't hand over something like this so easily. Hirkan froze. What was that supposed to mean? But you'll have to catch it if you can, Ainbree teased. Hirkan growled. This master is an idiot. Once he got his hands on it, he swore he'd kill him. He lunged forward, snatching it at last. The ring was his. Who knew what Ainbree had in mind with these twisted games? If he weren't just an NPC, Hirkan would have killed him already. Still, he had obtained the corrupted tracker's ring and unlocked the next quest. After that, Ainbree spoke again. Recently, they had lost contact with the people of Miggy. Hirkan would need to head to Zurio Castle to investigate. Ainbree said he would forgive him this once, but warned the area around Zurio was high level. Hirkan would need to grind hard on the way. Just then, a message from Romany popped up. She told Hirkan something urgent had happened. She had just uploaded the final cut of his Golden Skeleton video to YouTube. "Look at this," she said. The video had 2.3 million views, with thousands of comments flooding in. People couldn't believe it. They were begging for more uploads, showering him with donations. His earnings skyrocketed. Hirkan stared at the screen. What the hell? Then the zeros lined up before him. 1, 2, 3, 8 of them. Tomahawk steak, ribs, tenderloin, sirloin. His mind was already drowning in meat. It was like winning the lottery. He knew his videos would blow up eventually, but not like this. He had no time to waste. He needed to log out and start spending. But just as he was about to, a notification appeared. A payment. Around $700. "Hello, Mr. House, Max Hirkan," it read. "I've tried contacting you several times via DM. I'm the recruitment manager for the Thunder Hunters Guild. Since I haven't heard back, I'm leaving a message here directly. The Thunder Hunters Guild would like to offer you a recruitment proposal. When would you be available to discuss the details?" Hirkan's blood boiled. The Thunder Hunters Guild? Chai Sol-yong's guild. In his past life, they had been nothing but a thorn in his side. Some things never changed. His response was blunt. "No thanks. I'd rather die than join the Thunder Hunters." But the recruiter pressed. She said he had said the same thing before. How could someone so troublesome keep refusing? Even when he was already in another guild, she kept trying to recruit him. It was infuriating. His friends, meanwhile, told him he was crazy. "You're lucky, Hirkan. The Thunder Hunters are one of the big 30. From what I've heard, their queen, Sol-yong, is filthy rich. Just joining would put your salary in the 7 figures. Of course they wanted him. He was just that good. Even when Thunder Hunters uploaded raid videos, all the comments were about him. To be honest, Hirkan was in a completely different class compared to those nobodies. But for him, it was enough. He didn't care if they offered him $1 million salary. He would never join them. Once his guild became the strongest, the money would come anyway. He'd rather stay here, playing in peace with his summons. He laughed to himself, and that was when everything began. But even so, it was no reason for them to stab him in the back. Then he slapped his cheeks. This was no time to smile like an idiot about food. He still had too much work to do, and he wasn't satisfied with scraps. Every coin he had earned so far would be reinvested to make himself even stronger. He summoned his skeletons. "You lazy bums. We killed the golden skeleton already. From now on, it's hell training. Optimize your attack patterns. We can't let what happened last time happen again. Understood?" The skeletons whined. He sighed. They were exhausted. Not everyone was built like him. But this time, things would be different. "Let's go. We'll get stronger together." And so they set off toward their next destination, Zurio Castle, training along the way. His plan was simple. Run the entire distance. Anyone who fell behind would get the stick. Motivated by fear, the skeletons sprinted ahead. Meanwhile, elsewhere, a woman sat like a queen upon a throne. Someone asked Lady Gil what she had in mind. "It's time for your meeting," her aide Aichi, a member of the Thunder Hunters Guild, reminded her. "How goes the Count's corruption missions?" she asked coldly. "Nothing new, I'm afraid. No leads yet to move on to the next phase." She frowned. "Losing the main questline to Hydra, disgraceful. But surely we'll find something soon. Isn't that why you'll attend the gathering with the other guild masters of the Big 30? Aichi asked. "Humph. As if anything good could come out of a table full of nobodies babbling nonsense," she scoffed. Aichi could only smile awkwardly. Cold as ever. Still, he wished her well for the journey. Let's recap quickly what had happened so far. Thanks to a viral YouTube video, Hirkan had made a small fortune overnight, For a brief moment, he thought of blowing it all on food. But then his old archenemy resurfaced, reigniting his thirst for vengeance. He chose the path of a hungry beast. And what did he do first? He marched straight to his loan shark and broke the contract. Turns out, his lender had been a literal bat-themed loan shark. After that, he obtained several rare skill books. But now, he was completely broke. His balance was 0. He had seen it coming, but it still stung. No time to mope. He had new abilities to test. The first, skin stitching, a passive skill that boosted defense bites by grafting monster parts onto his own skin. He asked the system if he could use a skeleton warrior's horn to enhance it. Confirmed. The essence flowed into Hirkan, raising his defense by +5. He swung a weapon into his arm and felt nothing. Perfect. Next, Sloth's Curse, a spell that slowed an enemy's movements. The stronger and faster the enemy, the more mana it required, and the shorter its duration. He tested it on one of his skeletons. Useful in battle. Finally, the one he wanted most, Golem Summoning. The ground trembled as rocks assembled into a towering giant. A true tank, larger and tougher than most. Even better, it had copy mode, linking its movements with Hirkan's own. With his speed and its durability, the synergy would be insane. At least that was the plan. When Hirkan moved, the golem did something else entirely. The skeletons looked at it with pity. What the hell? Is this bugged? Hirkan cursed. Then suddenly, the golem copied his move at full speed, almost too fast for his eyes to follow. Hirkan couldn't help but laugh. This stupid hell of a game? Meanwhile, in another place, the great guild meeting was about to begin. Thank you all for making time in your busy schedules, announced Nergal, Guildmaster of Ares. Laughter echoed. The Matador Shev, Master of the Red Bulls Guild, had arrived. Borg, Master of Big Smile. And of course, the Thunder Queen Seolyong, Guildmaster of the Thunder Hunters. The stage was set. Out of the 29 invited, only 4 had shown up. What a twist. But still, it was impressive. It wasn't every day that you saw representatives of the Big 30 in the same room. Truly unprecedented. The top 30 guilds of Warlord, also known as the Big 30, usually went for each other's throats over resources and power. They never had the time or the patience to sit down for tea together. But this time was different. The Hydra Guild had uncovered the true identity of the corrupted Count and planned to launch the final raid in just 1 month. This was huge. The rest of the guilds hadn't even found a single clue yet. If Hydra's claim was true, they had basically won the lottery. Once they defeated the corrupted Count, it would all be over. Hydra would monopolize every future main quest, the publicity, the sponsorships, the content deals, everything. The others began to complain, but Seolyong, the Thunder Queen, silenced them. Stop whining and crawl back into your holes if you can't handle it. You're making me sick. Tension flared. Shev, the Matador of Red Bulls, was ready to pick a fight. But cooler heads reminded them, if they fought each other now, Hydra would win by default. Instead, an alliance was proposed, an anti-Hydra pact. The 4 guilds present would avoid physical conflict with each other and share any and all information about the corrupted Count until the end of the chapter. Some weren't fans of alliances, but they agreed. The meeting was adjourned, and each guild master went their separate way. Later, in her private chambers, Seolyong stepped out of the shower. To her, it was pathetic. She had been forced into an alliance simply because she had failed to clear the first chapter boss. But there was no other choice. If Hydra defeated the corrupted Count, she might never get another chance. For now, she had to keep a low profile and plan her next move. She picked up the phone. From this moment forward, every member of the guild will monitor Hydra, report every single movement they make. We will defeat the corrupted Count, no matter what it takes. Meanwhile, at the Monster Hunters Association in Zurio Castle, Hirkan had arrived. He asked where he was needed, and couldn't believe the answer. They told him to go to the Bobo Forest, the place where the Miggy expedition team had vanished. He needed to search the area and recover any traces of them. But Bobo Forest was crawling with level 70 monsters. A death zone. The moment he entered, he would be slaughtered. And yet, that was precisely why they were sending him, Disciple of Ambry. If he refused, they would revoke his title of Corrupted Tracker. What the hell? Hirkan sat in the plaza, stunned. This was insane. The quest window appeared. Track down the missing Miggy expedition, who were investigating the Stone of Corruption, and resume their mission. Reward, 500 gold plus bonus rewards. Penalty, loss of the title Corrupted Tracker if not completed in time. Time limit, 29 days. If he lost his title, he would be disqualified from the main quest entirely. This is ridiculous, he muttered. Completing missions so far above his level must have skewed the system, and now it was throwing him quests designed for level 60-plus players. Going to Bobo Forest was suicide. Nearby, he overheard other players. Hydra is so close to finishing the main quest. If they do it, they'll be the #1 guild for sure. The other big 30 are furious. They can't even get a clue. If the corrupted count was defeated, what would happen to all the other main quests? Hirkan figured maybe he wouldn't have to go to Bobo Forest after all. Elsewhere, Hydra's spies kept watch. No problems detected, as usual, one reported. Their mission was finally nearing its end. It had been months of boring surveillance, staring at the Count's castle. This was Natal, Hydra's 8th officer. He wondered what massive loot they would gain for defeating the corrupted Count. Jaira would definitely become the best in Warlord, but they couldn't get careless. Their mission was to monitor the Count's castle in secret. If any information leaked, it would all be over. Real professionals didn't slip up over small things. Then a voice shouted from behind, "Jaira!" The newcomer was King, rank 3 of the Red Bulls Guild. "What's a Red Bull member doing here?" Natal frowned, but King just waved him off. "Relax. I'm only here to farm. That mountain spawns a high-level field boss. We're here for the same reason." Natal had no choice but to nod, though something felt off. King was far too serious. Did he have a stomachache or something? King simply muttered that he'd go on ahead to take care of business. Natal gritted his teeth. The 8th officer of Hydra wasn't supposed to be wasting time like this. But the situation confirmed it. The intel they had received was real. The anonymous tip pointing to the corrupted Count's location? It had been legitimate all along. But why would anyone leak such valuable information for free? What was their purpose? Maybe someone inside had grown tired of Hydra's monopoly. But honestly, who cared? They weren't in a position to be picky. Jaira was about to sweep the board clean while others sat around twiddling their thumbs. Natal figured he should at least buy some time with a small skirmish. But he was warned. Retreat wasn't an option. If this really was the Count's castle, then Hydra's full firepower would be stationed there. They couldn't afford to lose it. It was their best shot. Still, Red Bull wouldn't collapse just because one man fell. Then it happened. An attack. A thunderous explosion shook the ground. Natal and King both froze. They couldn't believe it. They weren't the only ones who had caught the scent of the boss. The crazy Chihuahua of the Thunder Hunters made her entrance. "Sorry, boys, but the Princess of Thunder is here. Spill everything you know, or lose your head." It was Ahui, the Thunder Princess of the Thunder Hunters Guild. Meanwhile, elsewhere, Hirkan's golem was locked in a sluggish fight against a massive bear. The bear swiped, and the golem raised its fist to counter, but moved in slow motion. The bear got bored and continued pounding away, while Hirkan's skeleton sat watching as if it were a movie. Hirkan groaned. Still no results. Why is it so calm? He was sure all his messages had gone through. There should have been a response by now. The only way to end this without setting foot in Bobo Forest was to force the questline to move forward. The main storyline of Warlord was broken into multiple chapters. Right now, they were still in Chapter 1, the Corrupted Count. Once the Count was defeated, this chapter would close, and all related side quests would be automatically canceled. There was no way Hirkan could defeat the Count himself in time. Better to use these days to prepare for the next castle instead. That's why he had leaked the Count's identity to multiple guilds, serving it up on a silver platter so they would rush to kill him. And still, nothing. Then, a notification popped up. The official Hydra Guild channel had gone live. At the same time, Hirkan's golem lost an arm, forcing him to step in and finish off the bear himself. "Quiet, I'm trying to watch a stream," he muttered. The broadcast opened with Hydra greeting the viewers. They proudly declared themselves the first guild in Warlord to discover the true identity of the corrupted Count, and that they were about to begin the final raid. Hirkan leaned closer. "Please let it be this month." It will take place in 3 days, the announcer confirmed. Perfect. A bit sooner than expected, but not surprising. 3 days was fine. 3 days was perfect. Back to training, his golem stumbled through another awkward fight with a beast. Hirkin thought about it. Such a bold move from Hydra. They must have panicked when the other guilds started moving, thanks to his leaks. Not that he was worried. Gyro was far ahead of everyone else in the main quest line. Hydra's ranks were full of top-tier rankers. Once the main quest ended, so would Hirkin's troubles. In 3 days, he'd finally say hello to a happy life. Then his jaw dropped. The Hydra raid party had been wiped out. All of them, Hirkin shouted. Trash! If you're going to rush ahead, at least have a damn plan. What was the point of charging in, only to be slaughtered within an hour? He had underestimated just how reckless they were. Maybe it was time to consider a backup plan, just in case. And then, Red Bull's guild went live. The guild of Matador Shev himself. Hirkan frowned. Judging by the restored battlefield, Hydra must have retreated from the corrupted Count's castle. Now everyone had seen it. Their true enemy was strong enough to annihilate Hydra completely. With little information and limited supplies, the odds of victory were slim. And yet, Red Bulls declared they would take the challenge. Cheers erupted. Red Bulls would step up where Hydra failed. But even for Red Bulls, this was reckless. Their stream continued, and the surprise announcement came. Joining their raid was none other than the guild master of the Thunder Hunters herself, the Thunder Queen, Seol Yong. Hirkin nearly spat out his drink. Seol Yong? Later that night, behind closed doors, Shev spoke quietly. This is a surprise. You were the last person I expected to request a meeting. Don't tell me this is your way of declaring war. Of course not, Seol Yong replied coolly. We're allies, after all. Even if your team crushed one of mine, I'm only trying to be friendly. Enough formalities, Shev said. She slammed her weapon into the table. Let's talk about the Count. What do you mean? He asked. I don't have time for games. You and I both know that some of the Big 30 received intel on the corrupted Count. Once every fool rushed into the castle like sheep, it wasn't hard to piece it together. You got the information, but you have no idea who sent it. Shev stayed silent. Now, another question, she continued. Do you think Gyra can actually retreat from the corrupted Hawk raid? Shev hesitated. It was hard to say, but one thing was clear. Hydra had failed. They had rushed the raid, hoping for an easy first kill, but this was the boss of the first main quest. He wasn't someone to be taken lightly. They should have waited, let someone else try first, gathered information. But Seol Yong hadn't come here just to talk about Gyra. She leaned forward, eyes sharp. Why don't we form a team? For the corrupted Count raid? I'll make sure we get the first kill. Shev stared at her, stunned. At first, Shev thought Seol Yong was just bluffing. But if that woman had the skills to back it up, then maybe this alliance wasn't so bad, even for a bunch of so-called inferiors. And then the screen shifted. The corrupted Count, the final boss of Chapter 1, appeared. He would crush their pathetic will beneath his feet. Behind him, waves of corrupted monsters surged forward. The battle began. It was brutal. Monsters swarmed in, and the front line barely held. Each guild master had to step up and lead their troops. Slice one down, and another would take its place. Shev roared, cutting a path through the tide. Stay close behind me, he ordered Seol Yong. He cleared the way, but the Count himself grew enraged. Tentacles lashed out at her in a frenzy. Seol Yong dodged with flawless precision, weaving through each strike. She leapt high into the air. It ends here and now, she declared. But the Count countered, his tendrils piercing her defenses. Shev's heart sank. She's done for, but no. With a fierce glare, she cut through the tentacles, refusing to fall. With one devastating slash, she cleaved the corrupted Count in half. Shev's eyes widened. That woman, she's even more terrifying than I thought. And so, the alliance of Red Bull Guild and the Thunder Hunters Guild brought down the corrupted Count. Elsewhere, hidden in the shadows, Hirkin ground his teeth. He couldn't believe it. Seol Yong had landed the killing blow. He scowled. Whatever. I was planning to hand that boss over anyway. Doesn't matter who finished him off. Celebrate while you can, he muttered, because that Count will be your last meal. In the end, I'll be the one who wins. We jump to the Volcus Mountains. This man is Han Yejun, known as Hirkan in-game, a regressor and warlord sent back in time by a bizarre accident. His dream, to become the strongest player and to take revenge on the bastards who betrayed him. But why was he here, of all places? To answer that, we rewind a few hours earlier. He had finally arrived at a locked field, the entrance to the Volcus Mountains. Normally, blocked fields were sealed until certain conditions were met. But Hirkan knew the truth. This was where Chapter 2 of the main questline began. The moment the corrupted count fell, this area would unlock automatically. He stepped inside, earning the title First to Enter Volcus. All of his stats increased. It seemed no one else had noticed yet. Perfect. He told his skeletons to prepare. Their master was about to perform another solo act. But then, the ground shook. They were surrounded by level 60 wild boars, highly aggressive and always in packs. Hirkan was only level 41. His face paled. You've gotta be kidding me. To make matters worse, this was just the entrance. Other players would soon notice the locked field had opened. He couldn't waste time. The odds were slim, but he had no choice. Go, he commanded. His skeleton warriors, equipped with bone helms, charged forward, only to be demolished instantly by the boars. Critical hits, wiped out in seconds. It didn't matter. They were bait from the start. Hirkan cast Sloth's Curse, freezing the boars in place. Their bodies stiffened, unable to move. Now it's your turn, pigs, Hirkan growled, drawing his blade. But just as he swung down, slip! He stepped on a banana peel and fell flat on his back. What the? Laughter echoed. A level 50 armored monkey stood nearby, chittering mockingly, a mischievous beast that loved to toy with humans. The little armored monkey sneered down at him. You bastard, get down here, Hirkan shouted. But then, the system alerted him Sloth's Curse had expired. His eyes widened. The wild boars shook off their sluggishness and charged. But before Hirkan could react, something else happened. The entire herd was wiped out in a single strike. What the? Who did that? Hirkan muttered. He asked his skeletons if they were hurt, but deep down, he already knew who it must have been. Meanwhile, at Zurio Castle, there it was, the full white mamba set. The kind of gear you could sell at any price, worn only by filthy rich rankers. Mikhail was speaking with his guildmates, trying to figure out who had leaked the information, but nobody knew. Even the guilds that had received the intel seemed clueless, and that didn't make sense. Who the hell would just hand over the corrupted count's true identity for free? How am I supposed to track someone like that? Mikhail growled. What about Ajo Max? Any sign of him? No, came the reply. That guy's just been uploading videos of normal hunts. He's a rookie who barely started the main quest line. No way he could be behind something this big. Then what's more important right now, Mikhail continued, is which guild we'll support next. Looks like it's going to be Wesper Guild. Don't expect any downtime soon. I'll handle the support assignments. You lot focus on tracking the culprit. Whoever's behind this, they'll pay for disrupting the balance of this world. Back to our protagonist. As Ambry's disciple, Hirkan couldn't believe his luck. He had stumbled into Mahum, a key NPC of Chapter 2's main quest. Mahum, once the royal tutor to the Crown Prince, had been disgraced by scandal and demoted to chief ranger of the Volcus Mountains. But he was exactly who Hirkan needed to meet to advance the storyline. Insane luck. But Mahum frowned. You shouldn't be here. This land is crawling with monsters. Return before you get hurt. The corrupted count is dead, Hirkan pressed. No point playing coy. You already know the keywords for Chapter 2. Mahum's eyes narrowed. The corrupted beasts still roam. I've been tracing their origin, which led me here. Do you have any idea who could be behind this? Hirkan smirked. I have someone in mind. Just a hunch. Then help me gather evidence, Mahum said. Ding. The mission appeared. Hirkan earned the title First to Meet the Volcus Ranger, and another, Initiator. All stats rose by 14, 2 high-tier titles at once. God, he loved main quests. Mahum told him to start by investigating local monsters. The mission, defeat 50 Volcus mountain beasts to earn his trust. Perfect, Hirkan grinned. It was just the grind he needed to level up anyway. He'd save the high-level threats like wild boars and armored bears for later. For now, he'd start simpler, and he knew exactly who to target first. That monkey. Elsewhere, some unlucky players were getting wrecked by armored monkeys. One girl shrieked as a monkey hurled a banana at her, and then Hirkan stepped in. "Hello, monkey. Any last words?" The monkey squealed and darted between the trees, mocking him with playful gestures. Hyrcan swung, but it dodged easily, taunting him at every turn. The beast was fast, and the trees made it even harder. "Tch! Fine. Let's try this," Hyrcan muttered. He threw his dagger. The monkey panicked. It almost hit, but once again it twisted out of harm's way, chattering insults. But the dagger had been a distraction. Hyrcan activated copy mode. His golem mimicked his movement, swinging in perfect sync, smashing the armored monkey into the ground. Ding! Title acquired, first to hunt an armored monkey. Perfect. The real hunt starts now, Hyrcan said with a grin. Meanwhile, back at the Guild Press event, congratulations Master Shev of Red Bull and Mistress Seol Young of Thunder Hunters for being the first to defeat the Chapter 1 boss. Reporters crowded them. Any words on your victory? Shev smirked. Honestly, I think we just got lucky this time. We'll keep working hard for better results. Later, in private, Guild members whispered, Queen Seol, you're incredible. Honestly, I thought it was over when that last wave hit, but you charged in and cut down the corrupted Count yourself. If we hadn't teamed up with Red Bull, we never would have claimed victory. The system notifies Hyrcan. The durability of his equipment has reached 0, and it has been destroyed. He can't believe it. There's no fixing it. Still, it was about time to upgrade his gear anyway. The only problem is that he's completely broke. That means he'll have to rely on monster gem farming. Monster gems are rare drops from monsters used to craft equipment. Each gem adds an extra stat. The Green Goblin gem, the Werewolf gem, and others reflect the traits of the monsters. Hyrcan is sure that the Armored Monkey gem gives a good bonus for equipment. So, from now on, he decides he'll hunt these monkeys until they're extinct. 9 hours later, nothing. He has killed countless monkeys, but not a single gem has dropped. Maybe he just needs to defeat a few more. Exhausted, he collapses to the ground. Suddenly, someone asks him, "Are you Ajo Max?" Hyrcan doesn't know who this person is. The man is wearing a full Fire Drake set and holding a hero orc sword. He must be at least level 70. Don't tell me he's one of them. The man introduces himself. My name is Kulote. Then he strikes some strange poses and declares that he challenges Hyrcan to a duel. Hyrcan doesn't understand. This guy is currently one of the biggest YouTube stars. If Hyrcan defeats him, his fame will skyrocket overnight. But Hyrcan just keeps walking. To him, this is just another wannabe copycat. He's stressed enough farming gems nonstop, and now this lunatic shows up. Kulote begs him to accept. I'll pay you 5,000 gold just to fight me. The people around them can't believe it. Someone actually wants to pay Ajo Max for a duel. Hyrcan sighs. Fine. If you want to fight me, then welcome. Fight the best. Kulote strikes another ridiculous pose. I am Kulote, champion of justice. But to Hyrcan, it's a joke. He's still the emperor of solo play. Real talent doesn't need theatrics. In truth, Kulote used to be popular, but in Warlord, nobody cares. Ajo Max's skills aren't a joke. People subscribed to his channel the moment they saw his videos. And Kulote can't stand it. Hyrcan's lower level, his gear is trash, and yet everyone talks about him. Kulote spots Hyrcan farming nearby and thinks, if I record myself beating him, all of his fans will become mine. So he challenges him to a duel again. If I win, I'll give you 5,000 gold. Then, strangely, he strips down in the middle of the duel. Hyrcan stares. What the hell is this guy doing? Kulote explains, I heard your weapon broke. I don't want people saying I won only because of better equipment. I want a fair fight with you giving it your all. But how does he expect Hyrcan to take him seriously when he's standing there half naked? Enough talk. The duel begins. Kulote lunges forward. Hyrcan dodges. Blow after blow, Hyrcan avoids every strike. Stop dodging. Fight me fair, Kulote yells. You want fair? Fine. Kulote activates a warrior skill booster, accelerating his movement. He slams Hyrcan with a hit, sending him crashing into a tree. Even if Kulote is an idiot, his higher level still gives him raw stat advantage. But Hyrcan smirks. If I'm outmatched in strength, then I'll beat him with skill. As Kulote charges again, Hyrcan throws dirt into his face. What? Kulote shouts, blinded. Hyrcan kicks him hard, knocking him to the ground. He doesn't stop. He pounds him with blows, then hurls him into a tree. Kulote gasps, What skill is that? No skill, Hyrcan answers coldly. It's called tactics. When your life's on the line, nothing is dirty. And that's why you'll lose, because you care more about your image than the fight. Then Hyrcan activates Skin Stitch. The system notifies him. The essence of the armored monkey has been grafted into your body. Defense 7. He can't believe it. That punch, if it had landed, he would have been dead for sure. Quixote started this fight, and now he has to be ready to see how it ends. Wait! Hold on! I surrender! Quixote shouts, but Hyrcan's strike is already coming down. It misses the kill shot and only grazes him from the side. Terrifying. Hyrcan almost forgot for a moment that this was still a game. But in the end, he wins. Hand over the 5,000, Hyrcan demands. Quixote figures he doesn't want to risk a 2-day login penalty, so he accepts. It's insane. When Hyrcan removes his mask, Quixote calls him unbelievably strong and wonderful. What's wrong with this guy? Quixote admits total defeat, gives him the 5,000 gold as promised, and even offers his weapon, a hero orc sword. It grants plus 66 strength, 66 energy, and a 19% defense boost. And he's just giving it away? Hyrcan is pleased to get something so valuable, but Quixote insists. It's his way of showing gratitude. He had been so obsessed with chasing popularity that he forgot what it meant to truly grow stronger. Now he believes Hyrcan deserves it more. Quixote even says Hyrcan is worthy to become family. Hyrcan stares. He's giving me a sword for that? What a clown. Still, it's not bad. Hyrcan kicks him, orders his skeletons to tie him up, and they beat him down. Quixote swears, "One day I'll return worthy of joining your brotherhood." They leave him bound to a tree. Weirdo. But Hyrcan has to admit, the guy knows how to have fun in a game. Still, he did get a great sword out of it. Now he no longer needs to grind monkeys. This should be more than enough to move forward with the next mission. Then again, maybe if he kills just 10 more armored monkeys, he might get a gem to drop. Definitely this time. But no, someone needs to stop him. Addiction to loot gambling is a serious condition. Still, this new sword is amazing. 66 strength, 66 energy, and it ignores 9% of monster defense. After more grinding, Hyrcan has gathered Maya's 950 armored monkey carcasses, 104 wolf fangs, 76 poison lizards. It's gone well. Thanks to him, the research is progressing smoothly. But why does Hyrcan have that strange look on his face? He apologizes. He was just thinking about how to spend all the money he's been making. He needs to focus. His next task is extremely dangerous. Mahan shows him a point on the map. Near the mountain peak, a warrior bear was sighted. Standing over 4 meters tall, savage, and worse, armed like a human soldier. If they can discover where it got its equipment, it might help identify the source of the corruption. In short, Hyrcan must defeat the warrior bear and bring back its gear. Are you sure you can do this alone? Mahun asks. Even experienced rangers struggle against such a monster. Maybe he should form a party? But Hyrcan refuses. He already knows how to win. He sets off. The warrior bear should be somewhere in this area. It's close. Time to burn some money. He opens the auction house. Player-to-player trading enabled. The most expensive gear available is the snake skull set. He buys the shoulder guards, boots, gloves, and belt. His stats rise. Defense plus 70, magic 34, endurance plus 34, plus the full set bonus of 10% mana cost. Cost 37,000 gold. So this is what it feels like to spend big. With the leftover gold, he buys skill books. Phantom of Corruption, Blind, Muscle Reform, False Heart, Bone Bomb, and Harden. Cost 18,000 gold. Perfect. Now, even with the level gap, he should be able to handle the warrior bear. The skeletons look at him expectantly. What did he buy for them? He'd forgotten. For skeletons, the snake skull set would have been perfect. But funds are gone. How did he burn through it all so fast? He apologizes. As soon as he makes more money, he'll buy them gear. For now, they need to kill monsters to earn it. They charge into a herd of savage boars. Just one left, time to finish it. But then a sudden attack strikes from another direction. Who gave you permission to hunt here? This entire area belongs to the Apollo Guild and their bad news. Do you want to die? They sneer. But these guys? Just idiots. The Wanyang brothers, Yang and Il Yang, or whatever, doesn't matter. They're about to get killed. Hyrcan watches them carefully. With a single strike, Hyrcan smashes through them. More weirdos, wasting his time. Where do these clowns even come from? Maybe they've got energy or something, but what a waste. They retreat. but word spreads fast. How dare he? He'll regret crossing my guild, one of them reports back. The man he informs is shocked, attacking Apollo guild members even after hearing their name. This is none other than Lord Apollo himself. Bring him to me. Spare no expense. No one disrespects the name Apollo. He'll pay for this, Apollo declares as he leaves. Meanwhile, Hyrcan has reached the warrior bear's spawn zone. This is it. The skeletons must be ready. They look like a squad of special forces. He gives them a few knocks. Don't know how you give bruises to skeletons, but whatever. They need to stop fooling around and focus. The warrior bear is a level 70 monster with 3 phases. It won't be easy, but if they can defeat it, they'll shoot far ahead of the idiots in the big 30 guilds chasing the main quest. They can't afford to mess this up. Stick to the plan. Then, sounds in the brush. It's here. The warrior bear, level 70. Hyrcan opens his slot. This is the main quest. This is his. Elsewhere. These are the Volca's mountains? For crying out loud, hurry down already, complains a voice. A man crawls through the wilderness, annoyed at being sent here in the first place. This is way too much for a novice job. But if I refuse, they'll probably just drag me here anyway. Suddenly, a savage king boar, level 65, charges from behind. The mage incinerates it with a spell. He wants to quit. This is Ballista Hash of the Thunder Hunters Guild, ranked number 5 among warlord mages worldwide. Please, Ajo Max, just show yourself so this can all be over already, he mutters. Back to Hyrcan. In his past life, when his guild raided this beast, it took them 6 attempts to finally bring it down. If that happens again, someone else will get ahead in the main quest. To land a killing blow on a warrior bear, you have to strike at the armor joints and strip its equipment. Hyrcan can do this. He's got new skills. At his signal, the skeletons follow his lead. Time to use his new passive, Muscle Reform. He leaps forward, soaring far higher than expected. The skeletons freeze in shock. He overshot it. With one swipe, the warrior bear smashes the skeletons, critically damaging them. Muscle Reform enhances leg power for explosive speed and movement. But there's a limit. Hyrcan crashes against the bear's back, slamming himself into it. Clumsy, but it works. He's managed to crack one side of its armor. Still, this is no good. With this garbage skill, I can't land the critical hit where I need it. The warrior bear attacks. Hyrcan dodges again. He'll need something bigger. Bone Bomb. He casts it, creating an explosive spell. It detonates, blasting the bear back. Still, too tanky to take head on. He resummons his skeletons, mana draining fast. Time to fight like a necromancer. The skeletons watch him. They expect the same trick as before. Not this time. Come out, Golem! The hulking summon emerges, charging into the fray. The warrior bear swings, weapon raised, but Hyrcan orders, harden. The golem hardens its body, trapping the bear's weapon in place. Now attack! Hyrcan commands. The golem and skeletons strike in unison, slashing through its defenses. Don't get cocky, Hyrcan mutters. One big phase remains. The skeleton mage raises its staff to burn it down, but Hyrcan hesitates. What are you doing? Before he can correct it, the warrior bear lets out a battle roar, restoring 50% of its HP. Damn it! Strategy won't matter now. Numbers will do the trick. Skulls rattle, laughter echoes, explosions rock the battlefield. Moments later, the warrior bear falls. System alert, you've defeated the warrior bear. EXP gained. 102,000 gold earned. Quest complete. Mahun's trial. In his past life, it had taken a full raid to bring this thing down. This time, he did it alone. Good job, skeletons, he says, reporting back to Mahun. The warrior bear hunt is complete. Was it dirty? Maybe, but it worked. Without his plan, everyone would have died 6 times over. Meanwhile, west of Volcas, the Forward Post Tavern buzzes with chatter. We see the same mage. He's miserable. He can't find Ajo Max anywhere. He's searched every corner of the mountains for days, and thanks to that viral video, the entire area is now crawling with players, making it even harder. If he goes back empty-handed, Lady Syl will kill him. But how can anyone expect him to comb an entire mountain by himself? He just hopes that toxic guild collapses on its own. Then Syl calls. He answers immediately. She thanks him for his hard work. On second thought, maybe she pushed him too hard. Searching a whole mountain alone must be tough. She tells him she's sending Ahui to help. Now it's worse. Because of him, she's dragged into this too. The Princess of Thunder, nicknamed the Mad Dog, joins the hunt. This stupid world. Now they're both stuck here, and she's furious. Meanwhile, more people have poured into Volcas. A village has even formed, most players realizing this must be part of the main quest. Hyrkan knows he must hurry with Mahun. Running through the woods, Hyrkan spots some familiar outfits. The same gang-looking guys from before. Annoying. "Fine, come at me all at once," he shouts, charging. They beg for mercy. "Spare us!" But he cuts them down, slicing one's cheek as they grovel. Pathetic. Begging for life from an enemy? But then he realizes these aren't just randoms. Two of them confront him directly. A Kui, ranker 2, the Princess of Thunder herself, called the Mad Dog of Syl, fanatic enough to throw herself into hellfire if ordered. And A Eki, ranked number 3, nicknamed Ballista, a genius mage whose shots never miss. Even before Hyrkan's regression, these two had been among the most troublesome enemies. And here they are now. If they're looking for Ajoy Max, it must be recruitment orders from the guild. Hyrkan would love to kill them all, but at his current level, he can't. Instead, he plays dumb. Who's that? Never heard of him. But Akui calls him a liar. There's no way someone wandering Volcas doesn't know Ajoy Max. That video has 20 million views. Suspicious. Now that she looks closer, that hood, that aura, definitely him. Her comrade tries to calm her down. Enough. That's not the issue here. The problem is her. The inn she destroyed. The people she killed on suspicion. How are they supposed to cover that up? Everyone knows they're from the same guild. They can't even pretend otherwise. She has to apologize. Hyrkan can't believe it, but Akui actually does. She apologizes and walks away. For once, an obstacle is cleared. Then, bam! A fist smashes into Hyrkan's face. What the hell? She's acting like a mad dog again. Is that why they call her that? She thought he'd dodge. Punching someone out of nowhere, that's too much. Hyrkan's had enough of this toxic guild. He threatens to file a formal complaint. I'll start by posting on the forums. Thunder Hunters are a toxic guild that massacres newbies. Panicked, they beg him to wait. They'll compensate. 1,000 gold. Hyrkan accepts. He lets it go. Best not to cause a bigger scene. Just a little more patience, then he can wipe them out properly. As they walk, one asks why she keeps causing trouble. Doesn't she know reputation is everything for a guild like theirs? But normally, don't you dodge reflexively when a punch comes your way? Wait, that man just now? His expression was clearly annoyed. Suspicious. She tells him to behave, but he snaps at her to shut up. Stop giving orders. Elsewhere, a fully armed warrior bear. They find fragments of its armor. Definitely something strange. Without him, there would have been many more victims. Still, he's nervous. They need to hurry. At this rate, the big 30 guilds will catch up. With that in mind, Mahun spreads out maps. They're marked with monster guard posts across Volcas. In other words, treasure maps, each one tied to rare loot. But of course, nothing comes free. He has a favor to ask. Reports say armed monsters have appeared beyond the Volcas Mountains. Just like before, he wants Hyrkan to investigate. Understood? He wants to know where it is. And it's the Paran Forest. Any complaints? None. But as soon as he leaves, he realizes something. Paran Forest is a level 90 hunting zone. He'll need to grind levels before he can even set foot there. The only place he can realistically head to now is the Sura Canyon, where demonic mountain goats level 75 are known to appear. Still, he already defeated a warrior bear. Compared to that, demonic goats shouldn't be too much of a problem. Time to grind levels like crazy. But then, why is he here? The Matador chef... We shift to Seoul, speaking directly with her allies. She complains. She can't keep traveling with this maniac any longer. Things are getting out of hand. It's not that she doesn't want to try, but Red Bull has already claimed Sura Canyon. They shouldn't be wandering off chasing someone who clearly doesn't want anything to do with them. Still, they won't let it go. The Thunder Hunters are entering the main quest too. Just as expected, they put their faith in her. She leaps backward thinking, the strongest are always drawn to each other. Let's see how long Ajo Max can keep running from me. Back at the canyon, a level 75 demonic goat is cut down instantly by one of Hyrkan's skeletons. Level up. Finally, he reaches level 62. Everything is progressing well. Just a few more levels and he'll be ready for Paran Forest. But then he notices people. They're whispering, wondering if he's Ajoy Max. Hirkan can't believe this crowd of idiots around him. He bolts immediately. If they catch him, he's finished. How did it come to this? It must be because his warrior bear video blew up. Not all fame is good. Now he can't do anything without mobs of people showing up. He can't even hunt properly. He tells his skeletons, change of plans. We're heading toward the canyon. That area's level is high enough that casual players won't be able to follow. But suddenly, someone calls out to him. It's been a while. Hirkan turns. It's the kid from the beginner's village. When Hirkan left without saying goodbye, it felt awkward for him. But wow, he sure leveled up fast. Just months ago, he was in the beginner's village, and now he's here hunting in this canyon. What brings him here anyway? The canyon isn't really a ranger's hunting ground, but since yesterday, Red Bull has claimed it, using it as a base to pressure the main quest. Of course, he figured Hirkan would also go after the main quest. Honestly, he was hoping to run into Ajo Max here. He asks if Hirkan saw that recent video of the warrior bear or heard the rumors of him being spotted nearby. Wouldn't he be curious? Why don't they look for Ajo and Max together? But Hirkan shakes his head. Sorry, don't know who that is, and keeps running. Why is everyone after him? First chef, now Seol. 2 of the top 30 guilds. What kind of nightmare is this? At this rate, he won't even be able to level up, let alone complete his quest. Maybe he should search for another hunting ground. But honestly, nothing nearby compares to this place. Then he remembers. He still has the map that Mahun gave him. According to it, there should be a hidden dungeon somewhere in this area. Rare dungeons are usually tucked away in impossible-to-reach spots, just like this canyon. It won't be easy, but if he wants big rewards, he has to gamble. Hirkan dives underwater, leading his skeletons. His oxygen is limited, 20 seconds. The map is legit. There should be a secret dungeon here. He just needs to reach it in time. 10 seconds. 5. He's running out of breath. It's too far. Just a little more. He makes it. The dungeon door opens, and he obtains the title Seeker of Hidden Secrets, along with another, Dungeon Explorer. He was surprised. If people were the problem, then he just needed to hunt where there were none. He wondered what kind of monster would appear in this place. Since it was a secret dungeon, it had to be strong. At that moment, he sensed something strange. It was a slime. He could hardly believe it. A slime at such a low level? But then he noticed fire flickering inside it. It couldn't be. This was a spirit-type monster dungeon. Spirit-type monsters were among the rarest in Warlord. Their drops were used to create elemental equipment, making them extremely valuable. In other words, if he could farm these monsters, he would be swimming in gold. He ordered his skeletons to finish the slime, but just as they moved to attack, something felt terribly wrong. A level 70 fire-type salamander appeared and immediately unleashed an attack. Everyone had to retreat. A fiery explosion shook the place. Reckless from the start, but he had no choice. If this dragged on, it would become troublesome. It was time to use that. He donned the Helmet of Madness, the bone armor, and finally the most expensive upgrade he had invested in, enhancing his skeletons with a black orc skull. At once, the skeleton knight appeared, charging at the salamander and slashing it to pieces. How's that? He thought with satisfaction. But then a whole order of wild salamanders emerged, roaring ferociously. They wanted to fight as well. He sent in his skeleton warrior, who swiftly cut them down with ease. The monsters were defeated, granting him valuable experience. Auto battle mode was indeed the best. Now that his skeletons had been upgraded, he could farm high-level dungeons on his own. Salamander cores were far more valuable than he had expected, meaning he had already earned more than enough to cover his expenses. Once he gathered enough gold, he would enhance the rest of his skeletons too. Then he would strike down the dungeon boss and head straight toward the forests of Aran. But an hour later, things no longer went as smoothly. He stumbled upon a long-distance dungeon connected to the audience chamber. He wanted to enter, but it seemed like a cruel joke. A long-distance dungeon? He had no idea what awaited inside. Worse, once he entered, he would not be able to leave until it was complete. If he failed to clear it, he would be locked out of the game for 2 whole days. That was plenty of time for Thunder Hunters like Red Devil to get ahead. Yet, there was nowhere else worth leveling up at the moment. With no other choice, he decided to enter. All he could do was gamble and hope to hit the jackpot. Inside the audience chamber stood countless statues, knights carved in stone. The dungeon resembled a ruined temple, scarred with sword marks everywhere, a bad omen. Then, on the throne, he saw it, a decapitated skeleton. Alarmed, he immediately ordered his skeletons into a defensive formation. But almost instantly, his skeleton warrior suffered critical damage and was destroyed. Among the monsters that could appear here, it was the Spirit Knight, level 80, armed with advanced combat AI. He had encountered this creature once in his past life, when he was around the same level he was now. Even with the combined strength of the Ajo Guild and others, they had been annihilated. In the end, he had been forced to risk everything. This time, it had to be different. He summoned his skeletons again, commanding them to fight with full strength. Yet the Spirit Knight crushed them effortlessly. He realized he was in serious trouble. Together, his summons tried to block it. One skeleton was pierced straight through. He wanted it to dodge, but it was instantly destroyed. His warrior suffered heavy damage, though a stab to the chest was not fatal. Still, regular attacks were useless. At this rate, he had no chance. He wondered what he had been thinking. He remembered people asking him once, how could he charge recklessly at such a massive monster? The truth was, he hadn't been thinking at all. If he had to answer, it was simply, kill it or starve. A foolish mindset. Perhaps he had never played this game with a proper plan. But even so, if critical hits did not work, then the only option was to keep attacking relentlessly. And it worked. Blow after blow, the Spirit Knight began to falter. He realized victory was possible. But then the monster suddenly sped up, wounding him. In truth, it had been a feint, and his greater skeleton managed to slash off its arm. The Spirit Knight was disarmed. Well done, he thought. It was simple now. Either the Spirit Knight died, or he did. Far away in Canyon Village, progress was going better than expected. Of course, this was Red Bull's territory. After all, they had established the most reliable supply network in the region. Johann Maas might encounter them as well. Yet, she stumbled. She had been obsessed with garlic lately, but she didn't truly understand anything. She had only been clearing a handful of low-level mobs. For them, such enemies were trivial, but for Johann Maas, they were far above her level. This was a game where pain was real. Only two kinds of people went after monsters stronger than themselves, maniacs or warriors by birth, and Johann Maas was both. We returned directly to the fight. The Spirit Knight's severed arm ignited, transforming into a blazing weapon. Losing a limb was nothing to it. Once again, it charged forward to battle. With a mighty strike, it shattered the ground, hurling both of them into the air. This monster clearly wanted to stay alive. Both sides tried to close the distance, each launching swift attacks. Their speed was incredible. It was working. He only needed to deal a little more damage to win. But then, the Spirit Knight began to erupt with power, unleashing a massive attack. He knew he was in trouble. It had become stronger and faster, its movements entirely different from before. The monster struck at his neck, forcing him onto the defensive. While trying to control his skeletons, he left himself open and was wounded. This was bad. Just as the Spirit Knight prepared to finish him, his skeleton warrior leapt in front, taking the blow. It was destroyed. He couldn't believe it. After suffering so much damage, his summon had saved him. Stupid thing, he muttered, half grateful, half angry. He threw out bone bombs, blasting the monster again and again. He just had to hold out a little longer, keep firing. But it still wasn't enough. He needed to do it once more. The Spirit Knight was nearly down. Of course, he knew the truth. Spirit-type monsters weren't harmed by magic. Did the Spirit Knight really think he hadn't planned for this? When he crafted the bone bombs, he had mixed in fragments of skeleton. Now, he activated his skeleton fragment skill, the ultimate invocation. This was the end. The fragments locked onto the Spirit Knight while his final strike finished it off. The Spirit Knight was defeated. He received 456,000 gold. He obtained the title Chivalrous Spirit. He obtained a Spirit Knight's armor fragment. He gained experience points and leveled up. He remembered. Back then, defeating a Spirit Knight had been impossible. It had dragged them all down and wiped out his entire group. But this time, things were different. This time, they thanked him. They had done well. Yet strangely, the dungeon still would not release him. He suspected another skeleton warrior lurked nearby, but instead a reward chamber appeared. It was random, a blessing from the gods. Jesus, Buddha, Allah, all of them, he silently thanked. What kind of reward awaited him? Gold? A weapon? A hidden skill book? He didn't care, as long as it was useful. But the reward turned out to be research notes on an ancient power, something unrelated to the main quest. He had read these many times in his past life, memorizing them completely. Why would they give him such a worthless item in a reward chamber? He would rather have money or weapons. Yet that wasn't all. Another door opened. He found himself in the Paran forest. By now, his level should be high enough. It was time to return to the main storyline. He summoned his skeletons, now transformed. His excitement was obvious. Who could blame him? No one could have expected such a reward, a super powerful ability that allowed him to equip weapons and armor onto his summons. From this point on, he could strengthen his skeletons regardless of their level. Of course, it would cost him a fortune, but it had to be worth it. Just then, someone clapped. A stranger. Just like the rumors, they said. Their poses were flamboyant, overly theatrical, romantic to the point of absurdity. He thought only weirdos played the game like this, and he reconsidered uninstalling it. He kept walking, but they complained he was going too fast, asking him to slow down. To him, they were pathetic. When they begged him to join them, he scoffed. Did they really think he would? They introduced themselves as the R2 family. Their goal was to reach level 100 in the Paran forest, but the monsters there were far too strong for them. They sought his help. They begged again, mentioning Ajoy's mask, asking him to be part of their group. He cursed them instead. Perverts. He didn't care for their nonsense about romance. He beat them down, threatening to kill them if they followed him again, and left. Rejected once more, they were desperate. It reminded him of the Tunnel family, the group that once hung him from a tree, now asking him for help. He couldn't understand them. Meanwhile, our protagonist continued forward. His skeletons entered the fray, charging all at once. Together, they struck down their foe, slaying a Blackblood. Experience points flooded in, 55 of them eliminated in total. Since he had already faced the Spirit Knight, most of the monsters now seemed far too easy. Their movements were predictable, their attacks shallow. That worked in his favor. His level was rising at an impressive pace. But then came Magwang's request. The Ranger of Volcus had sent out a mission to locate traces of armored monsters in the Paran forest and report back to Magwang. The reward promised by him was tempting, yet no matter how far he searched, he hadn't found the slightest trace of these creatures. How could it be possible that the forest held not even a clue? He realized he had been ignoring the main quest for too long. He couldn't afford to waste any more time. The top 30 guilds had surely already begun progressing through the main storyline. It was only a matter of time before they caught up. Perhaps he should have asked the R2 group for information, but he would rather die than work alongside them. Suddenly, an explosion thundered through the forest. Who the hell was blasting the place apart? What kind of monster could be giving them such trouble? He knew exactly who it was. He rushed toward the noise, where the Tunnel family was engaged in battle. They didn't know what these creatures were. Armored beasts, resistant to normal attacks, forcing the group into a tight defensive formation. These monsters weren't supposed to be in this area. That meant only one thing: a boss monster intelligent enough to command an army. The Tunnel family had let their guard down, and now they were at their limit. They conjured a wall of fire, shouting to their captain for reassurance. But the truth was clear. They couldn't hold out much longer. Escape was their only option. Their skills at retreating were weak, but if they didn't try now, they would be wiped out. At that moment, he remembered the last time they had begged him for help, how he had turned away. Yet despite their conflict, they were still a family of 3. He knew what it felt like to be abandoned when help was needed most. This time, they resolved to spend all their remaining mana to open a route of escape for the Tunnel family. Even if they couldn't win, at least they could buy time. They struck at the armored monsters, but their efforts weren't enough. They were on the verge of being torn apart. And then, he arrived. "Don't misunderstand," he said coldly. "I'm not here to help you. I'm here to make sure you don't steal my monsters." He summoned his skeletons, and they stood silently awaiting his command. The tunnel family watched in shock. These familiars moved with precision, coordination, far beyond what a normal necromancer could achieve. Who was this masked man? Under his command, the skeletons crushed the armored ogres and finished off the lesser creatures. To the tunnel family, it was impossible. To him, it was just another battle. He turned to the surviving enemy commander, mocking it. Sad that your subordinates are gone? Don't worry, you'll be joining them soon. The monster roared in fury. It rose, revealing itself as an ogre of level 80. While the tunnel family struggled to heal, they panicked. He's insane. Does he really think he can defeat that thing? But then one of them noticed something in the ogre's eyes. They glowed black, rimmed with red. A corrupted monster, linked directly to the main storyline quest. Corrupted monsters were said to be 3 times stronger than their normal counterparts. Even with the masked necromancer here, they believed there was no chance. Yet he fought on. His skeletons pressed the attack, but the corrupted ogre was far more resilient than its minions. The tunnel family shouted at him, urging caution, but the monster lunged. He didn't falter. Drawing his sword, he sneered, "Why don't you try stopping this?" With one powerful strike, he split the ogre's chest open, cleaving it down the middle. The massive creature fell before them, lifeless. The system chimed. He had slain the ogre. Gold and experience flooded in. He leveled up once again. The tunnel family stood frozen in disbelief. He had done it. For him, it had been easier than expected. The rewards were generous: a fragment of an ogre helmet, completion of the mission's objectives, and proof of progress. All that remained was to return to Magwong and continue the main storyline. But before that, there was another issue: how to divide the drops. 20 black ogres and 1 helmed ogre? Surely this haul would be worth a fortune. The loot was a fortune. After all, the ogre was a rare monster. Normally, the player who struck first had the right to decide how to split the drops, but this time he had done everything himself. That was why he had waited, almost wishing the others would die so no one could claim a share. Yet when he heard them talk about abandonment, about how it felt to be left behind, something stirred inside him. His body simply wouldn't let him stand still. He had to attack. They thanked him for his help, admitting that without him, they would surely have died. At least they were grateful. Still, they weren't about to let him walk away so easily. And he knew it. In front of money, nothing else mattered. They approached him cautiously, not to fight, but to ask for something strange: a photo. They wanted a picture with him, proof that they had once fought alongside the mask. He didn't know what they were doing, trying to take a selfie with him, but he had no intention of playing along. They asked whether he would share the loot, but he turned the question back at them. Did their family actually need any of this? When they admitted yes, he placed a hand on one of their shoulders. The items were worth a fortune, but he knew they weren't shameless enough to demand a share after having been saved. They laughed it off, calling him a hero, saying he could take it all. He heard the word again: romance. He had no idea what it meant to them. Whatever it was, he wanted nothing to do with it. These people were beyond his understanding. After a while, he gathered his skeletons and prepared to move on. They asked him again to join their group. They admitted their skills weren't much, but at least they could be there when he needed support. They might look like fools, but maybe it would be fun to play with them. Yet he knew, if he stayed with them, he would never become the best version of himself. Someone like him was meant to go against the top 30 guilds. He ordered his skeletons to increase their pace. They had to finish this ridiculous errand and move on to the next phase. Elsewhere, another group had just defeated a great bear. Their leader praised their elegant movements, their strength. The team was proud. Then reports came in. 2 of the top 30 guilds had gone to war. The guilds involved were Triple Wing and Great Smile. It had started when Brun, an officer of Great Smile, clashed with a member of Triple Wing during a raid. Since then, both sides had been pouring massive resources into the conflict. Great Smile, in particular, had taken heavy losses. A war during such a critical stage of the main questline, it was pure foolishness, and she knew it. All she could do was wait for one guild to collapse. Then came the second piece of news. The Mask of Ajoy, the necromancer, had defeated the helmed ogre. Somehow, he was always ahead of them in the main storyline. Instead of anger, she smiled. He was startled. He had expected her to be furious, but no, this only meant they too had to accelerate. Their guild, the Thunder Hunters, would now take on the second chapter of the main quest. Meanwhile, our protagonist had returned to Bansu Castle. It had been a long time. His treasured ally wanted to know why he had come back with this man, but the answer was clear. Magwong himself had spoken highly of him, praising his achievements and sending him here. He was given something classified, the Ring of the Secret Order. He was told that everything had gone well and was invited to join the order. Shouldn't he think carefully before accepting? As a member of the Secret Order, he would have to be ready to risk his life. He didn't hesitate. Of course, he was willing to put his life on the line to fight against evil. Joining granted him a ring that boosted many of his stats. Why wouldn't he accept? The decision was obvious. With his agreement, he was granted permission to enter, but now he had to seek out his master. This confused him. Why? But the man explained his master was also a member of the order, and only he could grant him the emblem. He was stunned. That bastard? He couldn't believe it. Surely the man would demand another ridiculous mission. And of course, he did. He spouted the same strange lines as before, refusing to hand it over easily. Frustrated, our protagonist pressed him, demanding the emblem immediately. To him, this was far too good a reward to delay. But as a member of the Secret Order, there was no free prize. Instead, he was assigned his next mission. If he wanted to grow stronger, this was his chance. The mission would take him to the war zone. He was shocked, but also intrigued. A war zone, this was where his true strength would be tested.